Good morning, Raptor Freaks. My name is O.G.itus, and the Raptors beat Cleveland Cavaliers last night for the second time this season. 2 games in Toronto against Cleveland. We won both of them. First game of the season, and then last night, the return of number 43, Pascal Siakam. To me, did he miss 10 games? Because to me, it didn't really seem like it. It seemed like he just picked up right where he left off with this top five in the NBA kind of performance. In fact, last night, he looked like he was operating even easier than he did before he got hurt. There's something about him that is just unstoppable. There's something about him that is just like a surgeon, just carving up other teams' defenses and just saying, hey, look, you're not going to be able to do nothing against me. In the first half of that game, he put on all of his little bag of tricks, the spin moves. He had this crazy 3-point shot where he was completely guarded and he just bombed it and made it. There was all kinds of amazing Pascal Siakam moments last night. And it was just such a joy to see him back out on the court. And a very nice thing about it was that coming back did not take away from OG. Our leading scorer last night was OG Anunoby still with 20 points, Pascal with 18. And this is the thing. There was such balance on our team last night that I really liked. And the thing that a lot of people are talking about today and last night is the change in the starting lineup, not just going right back to Scottie and Gary in the starting lineup and leaving Thaddeus and Juancho in the starting lineup last night was actually a really smart move by Nick. I kind of really understand why he did it. Now, we don't need to think that this is just exactly how it's going to be. I want to talk about this whole thing about who started last night and the interviews after the game last night and a little bit of controversy that's been brought up. Young Scottie Barnes had an interview last night that a lot of people are misinterpreting. I know Scottie pretty well from watching him on Twitch for like 300 hours this summer. I watched him a lot this summer. And I'm going to tell you right now that he wasn't annoyed with not starting. Josh Lewenberg, you were completely reading Scottie wrong when you say, oh, that means he really was annoyed. No, he was annoyed with y'all's questions. Y'all don't understand this. And this was talked about at the coach's open house on Sunday. This team's a collective. It's one for all and all for one. And there's not any of this selfish, thinking about their own needs in some ways. They all just care about one thing, and that's winning all the time. It's like Gary comes off the bench. Gary's not totally upset about that, especially when at the end of the night there's a W. Now, if they don't win, then maybe he's a little upset that he didn't start, because then he starts thinking in the back of his head, well, what if I had started? Then we would have won. And then, you can get that kind of line of thinking. So as long as you continue to win, who cares who fucking starts? Y'all are crazy with your dealing with the media guys. You're crazy with this mentality about starting and not starting as a slight. I'm sick of this mentality. There's been so many other teams in this league where you can be a six-man, you can be off the bench, and you're just as valued, and it doesn't matter. So when you paint this picture of not starting or is a demotion or doing this, it's so fucking full of shit and it's insidious, and I hate it. And all the questions that were coming towards Scottie last night in some ways were about this. And I'm going to tell you right now, he wasn't annoyed with not starting. He accepted his role and he did what he needed to do that night. And he played well off the bench. And it really actually opened something up new to our team that was really, really good. But can the media guys be okay with Scottie and Gary not starting and that's not really a slight on them? No, they can't. Because in their mind, it's a perceived slight to Scottie. Well, you're fucking idiot, Josh Lewenberg. He's probably more annoyed with you than being annoyed with not starting. He's annoyed with the dumbass questions after the game that doubt that he's a team player and that he would be okay with not starting. That's the problem. He's not annoyed with not starting. He's annoyed with your damn stupid ass reporter questions. I can tell you that right now. I watched the interview twice last night. He's not upset. He's telling you the truth. He's not capping. He's not lying when he says it was fine. When he said it was fine that he didn't start, he meant it. You got to understand, they did the same thing. In his career as an NBA player so far, he's only not started one game in his whole entire NBA career until now. And that was in the playoffs when he had his injury and he came back for that game in the Sixers series. He came off the bench. Now, this is very similar to that situation. Why can't y'all get this through your head? Y'all have been doing these jobs for so long, media interview people. You are fucking stupid. You understand that an injury happens. You don't get put right into the starting lineup right when you come back. You maybe have a rehab game where you come off the bench. You don't understand that, Josh Lindbergh, Michael Grange, Mike Ganter? You guys are just stupid? Is that what's wrong? I mean, you reporters are really trying to fish for controversy. And this is crazy because we had an excellent team win last night. We won. We had all kinds of good things happening last night. And y'all are still trying to pull apart a team like a hockey questions, the hockey people do with the Maple Leafs. Don't be fucking do that shit with our team. You know, Nick Nurse makes the decisions on this team, and he had a very smart decision that he made last night. He understood, and this is what he said a couple years ago. We had everybody out from COVID, and then we brought them all back in all at once, and we didn't have enough people that had been going at the same time, and we lost. We lost a game because we put all these guys who had been out for a few games all at the same time, and they didn't have the right energy. They didn't have the right thing to win the game. So he was thinking about experience from that experience and saying, I can't just bring three starters right back in the starting lineup that haven't been here. It's going to hurt continuity. It's going to hurt our chances. And he made some tough decisions. And one of them was benching Gary and Scottie. And one of them was playing Thaddeus and Juancho. And in some ways, I really like this look. It was really actually very illuminating to something that we could be doing. We've been talking about this for the last year. We talked about this around last year. We're saying, why can't we bring Gary off the bench to help our scoring off the bench? Because it did, it worked. And Gary was way more efficient and effective off the bench. Now, I don't know if they'll stick off the bench. In fact, they may very well be starting tomorrow night against New Orleans. But still, it's just so dumb to make up this whole thing about, well, if you're starting or not starting, because it's always going to be that kind of fucking discussion around this team because there's so many good players on our team. You could start talking this shit to Precious. You can start talking this shit to whoever is the odd man out on any given night. So I'm sick of this. Reporters, get over your fucking status symbol of starting or not starting. It doesn't matter in this league. You know what matters? This is what matters. And you know what? The minutes. You can look at the minutes and see, oh, these guys got their minutes all still, even though they came off the bench. They still played at the end of the game, even though they came off the bench. Y'all reporters are stupid. Maybe y'all are right. I need to get a press pass and be down there and ask better questions than these idiots. I'm telling you right now, Scottie in his interview after the game last night was not selfish. This is not, everybody's misreading him. He's pissed off because y'all are questioning whether he's a team player and that he's willing to make sacrifices for the team for the better of it. That's why he's pissed. He's not no ego in this. You know, the only reason why he would have ego in this is because you're reflecting on him that his ego should be bruised about this, Josh Lewinberg. That's the only reason why. He's like, oh, wait, they're telling me that I should be upset that I didn't start tonight. Well, I didn't start at FSU. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And it was never a problem in the past. But the NBA reporters are telling me, oh, you didn't start last night, Scottie. How do you feel? He doesn't care. He just wants to win. That's all any of them do. And y'all were out of pocket asking Fred and Pascal these questions too last night. Trying to say, oh, how was the starting line without those guys? You guys are trying to pull strings and cause controversy on a team is what y'all are doing. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of y'all trying to pull apart our team when things get going good with stupid ass questions like what you're asking last night. This was really good what happened last night. I mean, let's look at their stats. Seriously, let's look at Scottie's stats. He came off the bench. He played 27 minutes. First of all, he's coming back from injury, so he shouldn't be playing over 30. 5 of 12 from the field, 11 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal, and 3 blocks. 3 blocks is huge. And I will tell you right now, that may be more productive than he's been in some of the starts recently. That he hasn't even gotten that much good stats when he started in recent games. That he played just as effective and stuffed the sheet just like he would if he had started. And we look at Gary too. Gary off the bench, 26 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 5 from threes, 7 rebounds for Gary. That's totally uncommon for him. And when have we seen Gary go out and get 5+ rebounds? 1 assist, 1 steal, 14 points, and just looked way more smoother, way more integrated in things. There is something really smart about mixing and matching our most premium offensive players on the bench and the starters, that you have them split up. And you have those kind of like older role player vets like Thaddeus and Juancho out there to start. And then you have more firepower off the bench. It gives you more balance. It gives you more flow. Maybe we avoid some of the stagnant offensive times that we have with our team because of something like this. A lot was learned from this move last night. And some people may be like, well, this is a slight on them. It's not. They just want to win. And if they win, that's all that matters. That's what Fred said. This doesn't matter like who starts and who doesn't. We just want to win. That's what Pascal said, the same damn thing. And Scottie and Gary feel the same way also. There's only 5 people that can start, and y'all overvalue starting over not starting. You look at Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher doesn't need to start, and he does all this. We think he's the best player we've had in the last couple of weeks. So it's really dumb. The press are manufacturing bullshit once again, and they need to fuck off. Just plain simple. Josh Lewenberg, you do not know Scottie Barnes, and you're saying, yeah, this means he doesn't like it. Well, maybe in some little part of him he doesn't like it, but it's partly because he's reflecting what you think he should care about it onto him. And then it's not even him where it comes from. It's almost like, oh, you're coming at me with these questions. He's sitting at the end of the game. He wants to talk about the game. You think he wants to talk about whether he started or not? Does that matter? That's maybe why he was a little irritated. I don't think he was irritated because he didn't get to start last night. He was irritated because of the asinine, stupid ass media questions. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going and let's see what's up. Let's say hi to everybody here. I was at the game last night, guys. I was in section 320 with Adrianna, and she is actually in the room with me right now. And she may chime in with her observations from the game also, because she's right here. You want to say hi, Adrianna?
Hi, everybody.
She's right here sitting next to me. We're up in the 320s. We went and saw Monique, as you can see in the picture. It was like just such a winning vibe in the building last night. And I was very, very loud and very, very much doing that defense chant by myself for a lot of the game. But we got that energy good, and they really did have a good defense last night. Holding the Cleveland Cavaliers to 88 points over 4 quarters is a true accomplishment. This is a high-octane offense that has been scoring like a lot against other teams. And, well, what happened last night? We had a plumber come to the site and do a job, and that plumber did an even better job than Saturday. I can't believe how much Donovan Mitchell did not score last night. That man had 8 points last night. 8 points. 8 the whole game. 8 points, not 8 points in the fourth quarter to help them win against us. No, not 8 points like in like 5 minutes really quick in a barrage. No, 8 points the whole fucking game. And that really is OG Anunoby coming in there with that big wrench and just turning the water off. He turned Donovan Mitchell's water off so well last night. So let's add him to the list of victims of O.G.itus in the last week. Him and Luka are sitting there on the same team at this point, that they got O.G.itus this week. And boy, was it so fun to watch. It's crazy how much he can negate someone on the court. He's like a blocker. He's just blocks something. You want something negated? Get OG on it, because he will negate it. That's what he does. He negates you. He's going to negate you, Donovan Mitchell. As we saw, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, they were operating. They've got double-doubles. And what did Donovan Mitchell do? Donovan Mitchell didn't do jack shit last night. He was 3 of 11, 1 of 5 from the field, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 8 points. That is very ineffective. And, this is funny because this is kind of like coming through fruition, what I predicted about this deal for them. We've played Cleveland twice now. We've beat them both times. I'm not worried about them as much as I was in some ways last year. That Markkanen and Sexton on this team may have been a better look in some ways for a matchup against the Raptors. And that now you got the 2 little guards in the back. Well, we can exploit it, and we can make Donovan Mitchell not look like a good acquisition for your team, because that's what we did last night. We really did negate him, and he wasn't a factor. And I love that so much. I really do, because that was such a prize. Ooh, what a fit. Donovan Mitchell's so good on Cleveland. Not against Toronto, he is. No, he's not. He's not that good. All right, let's see. Duke Rocks is saying, good to see you, Duke. What I like most about last night's game was that there was no drop-off, most attributed to the roster balance, with Barnes and Trent coming off the bench. Do we want to see more of this? I think so to a degree. I mean, it could be that maybe we see one of them back in the starting lineup for New Orleans, but it's not totally going the other way. I really think this is what Nick should do, and he kind of hinted this is what's going to be. These idiots, once again, Lewinberg, Grange, all them, they want to know who's going to be the starters from now on. They pressed Nick about it. Well, who's going to be the starters from now on? He said, well, it's going to be matchup dependent. And it's going to change. And y'all need to just get over yourselves with the starting five. Like we did that starting five thing last year, and it was good to get reps and development with that core. But in a way, this year we need to do something different. We need to do what classic playoff teams have done in the history of the NBA. We need to spread it out, like Duke is saying, that it was very fruitful to have these guys come off the bench and keep that good quality throughout the whole game. That these dudes kept, we didn't have any letdown, is what Duke is saying. And that was very apparent in this. And if we can continue to have this kind of stuff for the team happening, then why wouldn't we want to do it? Why do we care about what the media guys think about the starting lineup if we're winning and it works? So I really hate how the press treated our players and our coach last night after the game, after such a great victory. They should have been talking about all kinds of other things, but meanwhile they're capitalizing on just worrying about this stupid ass starting controversy. And it's dumb. It's very, very dumb. And even Lewinberg's on, like, let me read what Lewinberg's saying in his tweets today. It's so dumb. Like he's saying, for those that think I had the wrong read on this, maybe, but watch the clip. Doesn't sound like somebody who was psyched about his temporary move to the bench, which is fine, by the way. He shouldn't be happy about it. Get healthy, be more consistent, problem solve. Who the fuck are you to tell Scottie Barnes to be more consistent, Josh Lewinberg? Who the fuck are you? Listen, he's disappointed maybe partly because of y'all's questions. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Sure, maybe he's like, oh, whatever. I don't think it's in his head as much. Like some fans are reading it as an ego problem with Scottie, an immaturity problem, but I don't see it that way. I think you just caught him off guard. Maybe he's a little exhausted because he hadn't played that much and he's just getting back into conditioning, and maybe he's a little tired, and that's, you're reading tiredness and all kinds of, people misread Scottie all kinds of different ways all the time on the court with his faces. So why wouldn't you misread him in the interview? I think you need to take him at his word. If he says he's fine with it, he's fine with it. And maybe that's what I'm saying. The disgust on his face, the annoyance is from you reporters, that you would even question that he's not a team player and that he wouldn't do anything to help the team win. Because that's really where that energy was coming from. And they don't even realize that in the media team. They couldn't, it's got to be the team. He's upset about that. No, he's upset because of stupid questions is what he's upset about. But yeah, I'd love to see more of this kind of thinking down the road in different situations. It may be very smart to keep that in the starting lineup. I don't know about Juancho being in the starting lineup every night, but it could be like next game we see Thad starting with Scottie back in the starting lineup, because it's true. Scottie will be starting again. It's just that, it's a matter of time. And I really do think the thing with Scottie is that they just need to get him back in the conditioning and game shape. And once again, Nick didn't want to throw so many guys coming back all at the same time in the starting lineup and mess up things where we might have bad energy because there's too many guys trying to reintegrate back in. And that's brilliant. That's smart. That's like, okay, I made this mistake 2 years ago. I'm not going to make it again, and I'm going to avoid it. That really is probably the biggest part of this whole thing, is Nick's decision strategically not to allow our team to be flat because so many guys were returning from injury at the same time. And that's brilliant. That's smart. And that totally makes sense. And it worked. And I don't know why anybody's upset about it. Mike's here. Good to see Mike. Logical Raptors fanatic. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Great win last night. Really solid, in my opinion. I agree, Mike. It was really cool. We had a lot of interesting, cool things happening in the game. Once again, we were treated to a Thad Young to Juancho cut play, and it was Juancho putting it up over his head on the lay-in. This is really cool. And then Juancho got one 3-point shot attempt, and he bombed it. I think part of the reason why they started Juancho last night also is he's a really good matchup with Dean Wade. They're similar body types, and that, like, he doesn't get burned totally by somebody like Dean Wade. So you could actually start him like this. And then once again, yesterday, what did I tell you all about the open practice on Sunday? Juancho was hitting every single three that he was shooting on Sunday in practice. And Nick could have been kicking back like this and saying, Juancho, look at whoop, 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 all through, whoop, whoop. He's like, okay. And that could have been a factor in it too. They watched people at practice. Gary wasn't hitting his shot in practice. So he's like, okay, maybe I'll continue to start Juancho right now. And it was smart because Juancho did play well, but he didn't play as many minutes as those two guys that didn't get to start. Oh, should Juancho be upset? Oh, you started, but you didn't get to play as much as Scottie and Gary. Reporters, you can find any kind of fucking thing to try and make it seem like the players are upset about it or slighted. Yeah. Yeah, but I thought it was really smart that he started Juancho. And you're right, Mike. It was a great win, and it was really solid. And there's all kinds of things we can talk about, like the 3 stars from last night: Pascal, OG, and OG first, because he cut off the water on Donovan Mitchell last night and was our leading scorer. And then you got Pascal second with a triumphant return, just showing everything in his bag once again, just doing everything like he does it, and just looking effortless about it. Like, he could be talking so much trash on that court last night, saying, I'm here all day. I'm not going anywhere. You can't stop me. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And they couldn't do nothing to him. And they wish they had Mitchell doing that to us. Well, nope, because we got OG, a plumber, who's giving you O.G.itus. You ain't going nowhere with that. And then the 3rd star for me is Fred VanVleet. Very steady last night in the things he was doing. There was some interesting things about Fred's stat line. The thing about him with the threes last night was awesome. He was 3 of 6 from threes, and we've seen him recently not making his threes as well. Well, he got his legs under him better, and he said after the game he's still sick. He's still managing that. So, like, a 13-point effort by Fred with 5 assists, a steal, and 2 rebounds. You may be like, only 13 points, but he actually shot the threes at 50%, but he was 5 of 15 overall, but he was the plus 24. He was the biggest plus on our team. And that's obviously was a huge factor in leading and directing things and keeping things steady. And I really appreciate him for that. Bishop's here. Cheers, freaks. Bishop, cheers to you also. Tom Duke is here, quoting Big Four. The things he brings to the game is amazing. Watching Pascal play is like, wow, damn. Yeah, why couldn't you guys ask him more questions like that? It's like he talked about Pascal twice, and he's like amazing. I can't believe what he can do out there. And then he was out, they were asking him, would you want to do some of the stuff he's doing? Oh yeah, low key, I am taking his stuff and trying to think, can I do this little step back? And I do this little spin and apply it to my own game? This is a great influence to have on Scottie, is Pascal and the way he plays. It's like, this is a really good veteran standard for Scottie to shoot for later on in his career, to be on Pascal's level. He sees how Pascal operates, how he trains, how he works hard. He sees all that behind the scenes, and then he sees what it applies to in the game in real life, all that hard work, what he gets. Well, that could be a really good motivator for Scottie to be like Pascal and want to get all that kind of stuff for himself. So he's a huge role model for Scottie Barnes. And, if he can emulate Pascal more and more as his career goes on, there's nothing bad about that for Raptors world. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, it's funny. He was very glowing about it. And you could tell the difference when they were talking about Pascal and when they're talking about the stupid starter stuff. Scottie would light up, and then he was kind of, and I really do think he's just annoyed with the reporters. Dude is dutiful. Dude, he does what coach says. He's not like a problem person. He's not. You guys think he has an ego about this? He really doesn't. He really, really doesn't. And I really do feel like these media guys are misreading him. His face was kind of like I said, he's disgusted with you guys. He's not disgusted with the decision and how it went down or not starting. It's that you guys are making a big deal out of it. And that's what he's disgusted about, because he's a team player and he doesn't care. That's the way this team works. See, the players on the team are like communists. You guys got to understand this. You guys live in a capitalist world, and you all have a capitalist mentality about mine, me, all me, get everything from me as much as I can. That's not the way the players think. They're in like a communist country, and it's very much everybody gets taken care of, and everybody is kind of like, they have a whole different kind of mentality than some of you idiots that write the articles about them. You don't realize that at this point. The part of buying into Nick Nurse's system as a coach is you have to be a little bit commie, okay? You may have to be a little bit like not thinking with a selfish mindset, like a lot of people in society do about money and things that they want. I want this, I want that. These guys don't think that way. They think about the whole and what's best for the team. And they said it all that in the interviews last night. That what's good for the team, we do what's good for the team. And that's what Scottie said. That's what Gary would have said if they'd interviewed him. That's what Fred said. That's what Pascal said. Whatever's good for the team, they'll do. And I want you all to get that around you, you thick skulls. Michael Grange, Josh Lewenberg, Eric Kareen, Mike Ganter, y'all jackasses. All right, let's keep going. Isaac's here. Good to see Isaac Campbell. Great team win. Great picture. Yeah, it's so nice to catch up with Monique. Glad she got there on time to the game. And yeah, just awesome. Just to catch a moment with her, just in person, saying, hey, what's up? And what a great game. The vibe was strong in the building. I know Cool Cat was there last night also. And it was just like really, really fun game to be at. And just like we brought it. We brought it last night. We were like on the team and with the crowd. And we weren't going to let our team lose. We came for blood. And we came and we got it. Evelyn saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Have you watched the after game interview of JB Bickerstaff? One that I like is Raptors team is hard to match. All right, I'm going to go have to watch this, Granny Evelyn. I did not watch the opposing after game interviews. I should go watch JB Bickerstaff. That's a good call. And if he said some interesting things, I'd like to hear what he said. Tom Duke saying, yeah, that picture says it all. I know that was taken before the game, y'all. And that vibe was already in the building. That winning vibe was already all around that building. Like I said, I did not think I was going to the game around this time yesterday. It was like Adrianna was like, hey, you want to go to the game with me? It's like, okay. And it really worked out really, really well. Just got down there smooth, got out of there smooth, and just had a good time. Yes. Nameless saying, sick thumbnail of you and Monique. Yeah. Yeah. It's always cool when Raptor freaks get together and we have a great game to be at. And yeah, it's just fun to see Monique. As always, when I get to go down to the game and see her there. All right, let's jump ahead. Wow, you guys really filled up the net like the Raptors did. I will make sure I get to everything you guys are saying. I just wanted to go over my quick spiel about the things about Scottie and not starting and stuff. So, all right, here we go. Duke Rocks is here saying balancing the roster is also a great way to iron out the pecking order. Not saying it has to be Scottie or Trent off the bench, but OG and Siakam are must starters. I think that the three champions that start for us, Chris Boucher's off the bench is the fourth champion. They should be starters whenever they're available. That they have accrued experience running Nick Nurse's stuff that there's intangibles about them in like situations where they have to improvise that they'll do the right thing because they've had more chances to be in those situations over the years with Nick. So that's part of it too. It's like Gary's been here for what, 2 years now, something like that. Scottie's just over a year. You can't really beat that. And then if you bring in somebody like Thaddeus as a replacement for one of them, well, obviously you're getting a really steady veteran guy who's going to do a lot of good things, even if he's not scoring. So I really do like Thad starting. That is such a good kickstart to our offense in some ways because he's just a great facilitator and somebody that helps us get baskets in an easier way. It really is something that just makes sense. If it's puzzle pieces, if that is a good puzzle piece for the starters, and then like Gary's a good puzzle piece for the bench in a way, because he can be instant offense. He really reminds me of kind of like a microwave Johnson, Vinny the microwave Johnson for Detroit. You just need a bunch of baskets quick, and it's somebody who comes off the bench like that. That's what he can do. Now, I know this whole thing about Gary coming off the bench or being a starter has been a big controversy in his career from Portland. And that here we've let him start pretty much the whole time he's been here, and it's worked. But in some ways, I feel like our roster is a lot different at this point, that we can exploit different kinds of things. And I think it really is going to be a night by night thing. And it's not going to be ever clear that all these guys will be kind of starters and they'll get their chances to come in depending on matchups. But it could be like, you get Coloco mixed in. Sometimes he's going to be in the starting lineup. instead of some of those guys. Or maybe on a certain night, maybe he feels like, okay, I want to start Chris, even though he's such a good bench player. But this matchup, I want Chris in there. That we need to really start allowing for him to start whoever the fuck he wants to start. And I think Duke is right. At least OG and Siakam need to be consistently in the lineup as well as Fred. That those three guys just have their spots locked down, but the other two starting spots could be fluid in some ways, with maybe Scottie leaning towards being like the starter 80-90% of the time. Maybe Scottie is another ensconced starter or the four, and then it's just that fifth spot, it gets switched around between Thaddeus, Gary, Christian, Precious, any of those guys, depending on the matchup. And I think that would be a smart way to do it. I don't know. It could be very well that in a couple of games, it's just going to be our starting five for the rest of the year because they're all healthy and they're up to speed and everything's fine. So we could be ready for anything. It's really up to Nick, and I totally trust his judgment right now. The way he's doing things with decisions like the starting lineup and rotations right now has been really masterful. And we saw it last night just with how smooth the whole 48 minutes of the game went, partly because of these decisions we're talking about right now. Logical saying, great pick, facts. And Lex used his inside info to call the spicy threes, and Bo Cruz hitting that nice kick out. And Evelyn saw the JB thing. It's funny how straightforward he was to the reporters about us. JB Bickerstaff. All right, I'm going to have to watch that. I have not seen that interview. Yeah, there were a couple of things that I kind of called. Like Juancho starting was a weird one. I was like, wow, they're really starting Juancho with all these guys back. And then what about all the injury report I did yesterday? Well, I was pretty dead on with that. Everybody was available except for Otto and Precious, just because I guess I got to go to the practice myself and see with my own two eyes. It was easy for me to assess and my own two eyes and not having to go through what the media guys are seeing and telling us. So, yeah, it was really great. Like, honestly, I wasn't sure about Pascal. I thought that they were going to be kind of safe with him and maybe not bring him back last night. I expected Scottie. But I wasn't totally sure if Pascal would for sure, but it was so glorious when I heard when I got the arena that Pascal was going to be playing. I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. And what a great game to be at, because it was just fun and great to welcome him back. That was one thing that we did when Scottie and Delano and Pascal came out. We gave them good welcomes back from the crowd. Evelyn saying, my apologies for my grammar, still down since Saturday with the flu-like symptoms. Let's go Raptors. Oh my gosh. Evelyn, I hope you feel better. And just, I know this is something everybody's been dealing with lately. Nick's still sick. Fred's still sick to a degree. And I hope you feel better quickly.
Yeah, and make sure you take care of yourself.
Adrianna wants you to take care of yourself, Evelyn. And your grammar can be whatever. Care about grammar. Grammar is all right. Bishop saying, what did Lex say? What did I say? I don't know. I'm saying a lot right now. Ask me again. I'll tell you. Isaac saying Pascal, Fred, and Scottie got 5 assists each. When you consider that we got out rebounded, beat on points in the paint, and second chance points, priceless. Team ball movement for the win. There's some really cool stuff in what Isaac's saying in this comment. We actually won a game last night in a different way than we normally win. But so often we rely on our offensive rebounds to get more field goal attempts, and we beat the team just by shooting way more than them. Well, they did that to us last night. If we look at the team stats from last night, they did beat us in a lot of key stats that we usually win, like field goal attempts. They had 90. We only had 84, but we did make more field goals than them. We made 3 more field goals than them. So we shot better than them. That was a huge part of it. Now, the 3-point shooting was crazy. Like we really, I don't know what we did to them, but they shot 18% from 3 last night. And it was fantastic. They only made 1 3 in the whole second half. They didn't make a single 3 in the third quarter. And then that last 3 that they made was Karis LeVert late in the fourth quarter. And meanwhile, we shot 12 of 28 from 3, 43%. That's a huge difference right there in the game. Beating them at the 3-point line and really cutting their water off on the other end. Now, I know they had a bad shooting night, but we also played good defense on them. But they were missing a lot of open threes. And there were certain Cavaliers that normally will hit those, and they were not hitting them last night. Free throw line was pretty even. Like Isaac said, they out-rebounded us by 2 rebounds, and they had 13 offensive rebounds to our 7. That was totally not, like, normal. And if you saw that and you were like, well, we lost then, if you saw just that stat. But no, we found another way to win than the normal way that we try and win. 23 assists, I'm okay with that, even though it's not the 25. There was some really good passing synergy. And if we just made a couple more shots, that would have been 25 assists. They got 7 steals to our 4. So we weren't even stealing the ball. We weren't even getting the hustle points over them. And the turnovers, we had more than them. They took care of the ball really well. It was really weird. Cleveland didn't shoot well, but they took care of the ball really well, and they out-rebounded us. And that is not a normal kind of game situation for the Raptors to win. It's crazy. They beat us in the points in the paint, too, by 12 points, 52-40, which is really crazy. If you look at some of those stats, you're like, how did the Raptors win? Well, they won at the three-point line and just having good balance throughout the whole game. So really, really good stuff and a different kind of way to win. It was like Fred said that he doesn't care how they get there. He just wants to get the W. It can be ugly. It could be a totally different kind of style or way that they get to the win, just as long as they get it. And this was a different win than other games this season, for sure, because of what Isaac's saying here. Duke's saying, I didn't like the reporters questioning Scottie about coming off the bench. You could see they were looking to create controversy. Can't stand that. Yeah, Duke, I can't stand that either. And Scottie can't either. I think that is really why he was mad. And they don't realize this. They're so stupid in their own egos that they can't realize that, oh, maybe Scottie's mad at them. He's not mad at Nick Nurse. He's not mad at not starting. And he's like, why are you not listening to me? I'm not lying to you. It's okay. I don't mind. It's fine. When he says it's fine, he means it. And you can say, oh, that's like, sometimes like Adrianna may say, oh, it's fine, but it's not really fine. And I need to know that it's not fine, right?
Hey, I usually tell you what I feel.
I know you tell me what you feel, but I'm just saying that can be that kind of situation. It's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. But it's like, oh, it's not. They're trying to make it like that, but it really is like it was fine for him. It wasn't a big deal. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. They really do try and make something out of nothing. They really do. Why can't they talk about the good things about the game? Jimmy Pope's saying, what a dub. Love to see it. Yeah, Jimmy, wasn't it fun? That was just an entertaining game. I bet it was fun to watch at home. I know that Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong were very reinvigorated by Pascal being out there. I know Matt loves doing his spin cycle calls and spicy stuff, and he gets really crazy with this stuff. And when they see Pascal do these amazing shots and moves, they get really excitable. And I love that from our announce crew. I wasn't even watching the game on TV, but I watched the highlights later. And I heard them and the way they were calling the game. And I was like, man, they were kind of off the chain with giddiness about the team being all back and just the vibe in the building. It was really flowing through Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong's voices when they were calling the game. It was so fun. Mike saying, Lex, yesterday said Spicy looked great, and the whole team was counting his corner threes making in a row, hence the nasty buzzer coming corner 3 inbound hit. And he also said Bo Cruz was really hitting his threes. Yeah, that one shot by Pascal, that 3 in the corner was really fun. And like, it really is symbolic. Like what Pascal was talking about in his interview was about how they were telling him the ball wasn't even hitting the rim. It was just going right through the net, straight through the middle. And Pascal's just like, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And if it feels real good, it feels real good. Once again, he's on this kick with this Sunday service, this like God's plan stuff that he's been talking about lately. And this really is a part of his whole mentality right now. It's like there's some things that he's doing right now. It's kind of like the Blues Brothers in that movie, that they're on a mission from God. That's what the Blues Brothers used to say in that movie. They said, we're on a mission from God. Well, Pascal seems to be on a mission from God in some ways also at this point. And that's why he may be untouchable this year. That people don't even understand why he's so good. It's because he's given it up to his higher power. And he's just believing that he will guide him and take care of him, or she will take care of him and get him through whatever it is. And that's the secret that they don't understand about him, is that he's got something that's carrying him, and it's way above any of us and anything that's human. It is his belief. Oh man, it's so good. So good. All right, Sue's here. Good morning, everyone. How can we not all be in a good mood over that great team effort last night? I know. I know. Why are y'all doing this, y'all stupid media people? Why do you have to ruin a good time and come in with your stupid ass shit? Yeah. Cool Cat's here. Okay, good. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. Pascal, amazing return. That Sunday service surely delivered. Great team win. Defense and aggressiveness was consistent for all combination of players. Nick Nurse, the mad scientist. Listen, the vibe is strong. Like, I want to believe something weird like this. Go to open practice, a coach's open house on Sunday morning, and somehow the vibe just got turned into something there. That vibe was just so fun. Me being there, I'm just feeling it. And I'm like, man, the vibe was like that in the game last night. This is a champion Raptor vibe. This is a vibe that was around our team in the 2019 championship year, is a vibe of like excellence and really good. And we are going to be like kicking people's ass. There is a vibe like this on this team after last night. That they did something to a top Eastern team last night and they had no answer for it. Cleveland had no chance to win this game in some ways because we really did keep a good stack of maple syrup on those pancakes for Dedrick Taylor last night. Like we were hoping that like that thick Canadian maple syrup lead was started in the second quarter and it just kept widening and widening a little bit like this, but then it was like just solidly a double-digit lead for most of the rest of the game. And I love that. That is exactly what we needed. Now, Tony Brothers was great. Didn't you guys enjoy Tony Brothers last night? He wasn't that bad. The refs were actually pretty good. There were a couple calls by Eric Dalen that were messed up, but for the most part, the refs were right on where I thought they would be. And it's really that Tony Brothers kind of ref called game. But Dedrick Taylor is really good ref for us. Like he was really good for us last night with a lot of his calls. And yeah, Nick Nurse is a brilliant man. And we can trust, like we say, trust in Masai, trust in Nick Nurse. Trust in that he has the best intentions to get us the W. And even if it is some sort of weird, like starting lineup that like people are like, wow, why didn't Scottie start? You know, it's just so weird because that was the first ever regular season game in Scottie's career that he didn't start in. But that was eventually going to happen. And he shouldn't be upset about it at all. I don't think he is. I really do think he was upset with the reporters. Tom Duke saying OG held Mitchell to his worst game of the season, under 10 points, breaking a 120 game streak. Wow. The plumber is always available to turn those taps off. Yeah. I mean, listen, this is not a game that Donovan Mitchell normally has in any kind of way. That is a huge accomplishment, what they did to him last night. 3 of 11, 1 of 5 from 3, 8 points. He was a minus 21 on the court. And it really is that little guard. And I love that OG can switch from guarding a guy like Luka the other night to a littler, quicker guy and still have really good success kind of containing him. Because it really was OG really holding him down. And then once again, OG didn't sacrifice his scoring. And this is why he's my number one star of the game. He still went out there and he shot really well, 8 of 13. Normally he's been a below 50% shooter, but he was 8 of 13 last night. And the threes were finally falling again. That's the thing. OG had not been hitting his threes the last couple of games very well, but he was 4 of 6 for his threes last night. They look really good. 20 points, plus 16, a steal, a block, 2 assists, and 1 rebound. Now, Fred was cracking on him after the game for only getting 1 rebound. He's like, OG only got 1 rebound. That's something's wrong with that. I don't like that. And he said Pascal was probably stealing his rebounds. That's what Fred said. So he's like, this is probably what they're going to do this morning. They're going to come into the room and they'll be looking at their report cards for practice today or like whatever they're doing to get ready. Or they look at them and they'll be like, oh, you only got 1 rebound. He's like, are you going to crack on me for that after I shut the water off on Donovan Mitchell and I still scored 20 points and got 4 of 6 from 3? You're going to tell me I only got 1 rebound and come on me for that? Yeah, I don't think so. But they'll probably look at all those things today, and it'll be really interesting to see the results of the defensive report cards from last night because we did play such a good defense on them. I mean, it was a little bit of a mix of us playing really good defense and them not shooting well to a degree also. Yeah, there was a little bit of a mix of both. But yeah, what a plumber that OG is. This guy is really good. Like if you need something done around your house, like Brothers Tada can come do. Well, you need some plumbing. You need somebody to stop in the NBA. OG's your man. You can call him and he will get that job done. He will stop them. Trust me. Fun guy saying possibly the worst game of his career for Donovan Mitchell. OG is just something else defensively. Yeah, that could be very well the very worst game that Donovan Mitchell's ever played in the history of his whole entire career. I love that so much. And because it's such a touted move this summer, and everybody's been fawning over the new look Cleveland Cavaliers with this guard on their team now with Darius and Garland, this great backcourt. Everybody's like, oh, they're just so good. They're going to be this, they're going to be that. And then you see what happened last night, and everything's like gravy, baby. Yeah, it's awesome. G saying Scottie is expressive, and some people don't understand his mannerisms. Yeah. Sometimes you know what it is in his Twitch stream. People would come in and say something, and he does have a little bit of an ego. He does, but it's not an ego in the way that you think it is. It's not that it's a selfish ego. It's more like they're transposing their ideas of what his ego should be in this situation, and because he's young and he's naive in some ways, and he's just kind of impressionable, he may be getting the energy from them that, you know what, I wasn't upset about not starting, but now that the way you're asking me these questions in the middle of this interview, I'm upset because maybe I should be upset because the way you're wording this is really the impression I got. Because I don't think it's like anything like what they think it is. I think it's more that he was upset because they're inferring that he should be upset about it. And that's what it is. And then maybe he's like, and it gets all uncomfortable. But I think he was really disgusted and annoyed with them. In fact, I think if we got on Twitch with him after the game last night and we got a chance to talk to him, he probably would have told us that the reporters were being jerks. He probably would have told us that, because he really is the ultimate team player. He came off the bench his whole entire collegiate career, and this isn't as big a deal as everybody thinks it is in the media. Like who starts and who doesn't is not. And on a basketball team, a team that is about winning and the team is winning, is not an individual. They don't care about who starts and who doesn't. In some ways, they look at it as a reward who's playing the most consistent and playing the best, and that it's a status. If you can get to have the start, sure. But that in some cases, that's not always the case on teams. That it very much is like you don't start Christian Wood because you need him in balance on the Maverick team with Luka. That you want to have a guy off the bench that can kind of fill in Luka kind of stuff. And that's why Christian Wood doesn't start. So in some ways, this is the kind of similar thing. It's like we may need to not start one of those two guys. At the beginning of the year last year, I thought it would benefit Scottie not to start. I know he wouldn't have won Rookie of the Year if he didn't start last year, but I didn't know what to gauge with him. And I was thinking, he didn't start at FSU. He could come off the bench. And I was really talking about this a lot at the beginning of the season last year. It's like Scottie comes off the bench, so he could really help us with glue stuff. But I let it go after a while. I was like, okay, yeah, he's just going to start, and this is the right thing. And it really was, because he won Rookie of the Year. But he can't win Rookie of the Year this year. And like I said before, OG started his rookie year for the Raptors, but in his second year, he did not start. He came off the bench in his second year. So Scottie, think about it that way. If you really look up to people like OG and Pascal, well, think about their paths in their young career. Pascal did not become a starter until a couple years into his career, and OG started his rookie year, but then he came off the bench in his second year. And both of them are fine. So if you do end up being off the bench for a while this season, it is not a demotion. You can make the best of it, and everything can work out just fine in the long term over things. Don't let the ego problems with the reporters get transferred into your own head with your own ego, because you don't have to be as stupid as them. You're smarter than that, Scott. You know that. You're smarter than that. All right, let's keep going. Duke's saying the minutes were spread out nicely by Nurse last night. 8 players with 20-plus minutes. Keep in mind, there was garbage time. I really like Gomez's strength in the starting lineup. Yeah, his energy. He liked his energy in the starting lineup. This is true. And these are some of the flaws we've had on our team, is letdowns in games where we don't have any offense going all of a sudden. Well, this is a way we can avoid this by having good quality scorers that come in with the second unit, and there's no drop off in talent throughout the whole entire game. This is something I envisioned last year that I really was hoping Nick would start doing. He finally did it for the first time last night. Really spread the numbers out evenly in the minutes. This is an old San Antonio Spurs style of thing that Popovich would do. None of his players played over 30 minutes. They were all very equitable. And I kind of want that for our team because we have such deep talent overall. We have like 10 guys that really could play, and there's no reason to overuse guys, especially through the whole course of the 82 game season. And we worry about Fred, we worry about OG and Pascal. Well, let's save them some and really like spread it out. And that last night was a step in that kind of direction, like for Nick to have like feel okay with doing this. Like we putting Thad in the starting lineup has been a real godsend in a lot of ways. And I think that he may actually need to still continue to start. That Thaddeus is just so important. And Juancho, he could be maybe not starting. I'm okay with that. But Thaddeus, for some reason, I really feel like he may need to be our starting center going forward. And yeah, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. It could be like a rotation that we rotate the starters in and out and different guys for the matchup. And that's basically what Nick said it would be. So we should expect that. We'll have to see what the starting lineup will be on Wednesday night against Valanciunas and Zion Williamson and the guys for New Orleans. That team is a different kind of team than Cleveland, and we may have a different lineup against them. I'd rather he pick and choose the lineup depending on the opponent than having some pecking order on the team. And this is just, you just start because you're just the starter, designated starter. I don't agree with that. I always have thought the best thing to do is to like really match up against the team you're playing that night and be smart about it. And I think this is, the fact finding mission from last night and the experiment last night was very successful. And I think this would be the smart way for Nick to absolutely use the best of his roster at all times, is by really starting to think about the things we're talking about here, spreading out the minutes, having consistency between the bench and the starters, mixing and matching these really ultra talented guys between the starting and the bench unit so that we have two really strong units in two different kinds of ways. And it could change and more from game to game. And it doesn't mean any of them are not starters or, bench guys or whatever. You shouldn't be labeling guys. Most like we don't label them by position. We don't label them by role or box them in with what they are. Why do we have to do that with the starting or not starting kind of designation too? That if these guys are like, okay, we don't know what position Scottie's playing, well, why does any of it matter? Just let it be amorphous and just vague. And then, oh, well, this guy's kind of a star, but Gary's a starter too. You know, it's all semantics and just like labels, and to a degree. But I really like Hernan Gomez paired with Thaddeus. That we're really starting to understand that these guys are really good puzzle pieces that fit together, because there's one guy who's really likes to cut and get the pass, and then there's one guy who really loves to pass, and that they are a match made in heaven on a basketball court. OG was a beast out there on both ends. As Jack said, he was a machine. That's Sue saying that. Yeah, OG is something else. And it is really inspiring that he can do what he did in Pascal's absence, with Pascal still being out there. These guys are close friends. They've played next to each other for a long time. And it really worked last night because we saw them switching from Pascal being dominant with the ball on the offensive end to OG getting his chances and his touches, and him still being very effective. They found him on the 3-point line really well last night. And that's a big part of it too. But yeah, OG, both ends of the court, number one star for the game last night for sure. Monique is here. Good to see Monique. Made it to the chat this morning. Morning, everyone. Great night. Thanks again, Lex. Go Raptors. Thank you, Monique. And thanks for us bringing the vibe to the building, baby, and having that winningness in the building. Yes. Wasn't it great to see Monique last night?
It was definitely great.
Adrianna's here with me too, Monique. She's sitting here right now with me. Let's see. Randolph saying, what a blessed morning. It is beloved. It is beloved, Raptor freaks. Blessings, 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 blessings. The future looks bright as our team regains strength. Great win. Oh my gosh, Randolph Phillips, thank you for your blessings as usual. And yes, I feel really good about us. And I think Fred's right. Like he said last night, he said, when we get our health, and we were 500. Pascal was gone 5-5 in 10 games. That we're ready to start going on streaks. Yeah, we're ready to start streaking. And this is a good test on Wednesday night to see how we're ready, because New Orleans is very similar to us in record wise. And they're very dangerous in different ways. They cause all kinds of different things you have to worry about but they do have some injuries right now. Like Ingram hasn't been playing recently, and CJ McCollum has been sick. So they're not totally full strength. We'll have to see where they're at tomorrow morning when we do the preview. But it could be a very different kind of New Orleans team. But even with these guys out, they won their game last night, really on the back of Zion Williamson taking over and playing really tough in the game. So they're still dangerous, even if they're missing a couple of their big guns like Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. So we'll have to see how it is tomorrow. I love just the challenges, and this is what Nick said on Sunday, is that he likes the challenge of seeing the next team that he's coming up against and devising the scheme to stop them defensively. That he really is into this. It's like not just OG and his incredible skills. It's really the game plan that Nick comes up with and how he wants to stop Mitchell, and then telling OG how to do it, and then OG executing it on the court. This will be the same kind of thing for tomorrow. He's going to come out with a whole new idea and plan for how to stymie and stop the Pelicans. And we'll have to see what it is. It's going to be really fun. And hopefully we got a really good game plan and we get some sort of fun O.G.itus or plumbing shut off in some sort of way on what, I don't know what player it'll be. We'll see who's healthy for them. All right, let's go knock out the nachos here. Donovan Mitchell did not look like an MVP candidate last night. Pascal, OG, and I want to say Juancho, but it was probably Scottie who were our best players. Yeah, all these guys played pretty well. Yeah, D Mitchell did not look like MVP candidate. I think one guy on that court did, and his name is Pascal. Yeah, let's look at the box score a little bit with our guys, just more detailed. As far as all right, Thad Young, 4 of 7 from the field, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, plus 13, 10 points. Just a solid start. Didn't do anything too flashy, but did contribute and do a lot of important things. Pascal, 7 of 14, 50% shooting, 3 of 4 at the free throw line. He had 1 3-pointer, that crazy one. 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 18 points, and he was a +5. That's a really good return game for Pascal, considering, he hadn't played a game in a while. It didn't really look like he missed a beat. Like, seriously, he did not look rusty. He didn't look like he had any kind of rhythm problem. He was really already very much on point. And actually, in some ways, he looked even better than when before he got hurt. In some ways, he looked even better. Like, he was really shooting well. Like, at 50% for him, and OG shooting over 50% is really good. When both of those guys are shooting over 50% or better, is really, really good for us. Now, Hernan Gomez only played 20 minutes. He only took 3 shots, but he made 2 of them. And one of them was that layup I talked about off Thad Young. And the other one was the 3-pointer that he took, and it looked really good. Like, that catch and shoot 3 was really good. But 6 rebounds, 5 points. And that's all we really need. Like, in some ways, I don't think he should be starting too often. I think this may be the last game that Juancho actually starts for the rest of the year, hopefully without injuries or anything like that. But he's going to be a really good role player off the bench and helping us get threes. Now, I really do think Scottie will get to start the game on Wednesday night, especially if Nick sees these interviews from last night and the way that this kind of was starting to develop with the press. He may be like, I just want to avoid these headaches. We'll just start Scott. Now, Gary, it may be different because Gary has struggled this season so far, but he didn't struggle off the bench last night. And that may be like, you know what, Gary, you're playing better off the bench than you are playing in the starting lineup. And maybe we do want you to come off the bench for a while. But listen, you will get your minutes still, and you will get to be in the end of the game too. And it's just you won't start because we need you to help our offense off the bench. And I think that's a smart move in some ways, but we'll have to see. It's all up to Nick Nurse. He's going to decide it, and we just got to roll with it. And hopefully he'll be successful. He usually is. All right, let's keep going. O.G. Plumbing has been busy lately. Love it. Yeah, there are a lot of emergency calls and late night plumbing jobs where you just got to shut the water off because there's a problem. I was at the laundromat yesterday. I was doing my laundry, and this guy used his washer after me, and he didn't close the door all the way. And there was a piece of article clothing out the door underneath. And when he turned it on, the water flooded the whole entire laundromat. And I was like, man, we need a plumber. We need OG to stop this crazy water flow. Just a little dumb aside, a true story from my life yesterday. GSAM Media annoys me with how they start problems. Really, really annoys me too. Like, this really is that kind of shit that they do with the Leafs and their media stuff. These Canadian sports media reporters, they have a style of doing this. And, it's not good. I hate it. because y'all need to understand, media. You want to help get more attention on your careers. Well, when the Raptors win championships, you probably get more shine in some ways. So why would you not want to help them build like a good, positive culture around them instead of like trying to pull threads and unravel things with dumbass questions like last
Because
night?
they're not happy in their own lives.
You think it's because they're not happy with their own lives? I think I have two theories, Adrianna. I think it has to. I think it has to do with Rogers being the owner of Sportsnet and the baseball people. And in some ways, they want to hurt the basketball in this country. And by making the team have problems, maybe they won't play as well, and maybe they won't be as attractive. I think that's one of the motivations. Another motivation would be like the hockey people on TSN. It's the same kind of thing the other way. Like, Josh Lewenberg, it could be that his job like is being directed by the people above him. Like, Lewenberg, we want more dirt. Can you go down there and dig some dirt up on the Raptors and we can get tabloid like on our channel about our coverage about them, the controversy about the starting or something like that. It could be very well that these interviewers are not necessarily that they're coming up with it themselves. Maybe they are because they're assholes like Michael Grange, but maybe it's their director, the person who's in charge of their news department is like, we want more dirt on the Raptors. We want them to have more controversy. Can you just find anything and just make a mountain out of a molehill? It's that kind of shit. I think that's what it is. Is that they think that it's like much like CNN will have horror stories all over their page and their channel to keep people tuned in. They think that negativity gets views. Negativity gets more people involved in watching. And I hate that. I hate that mentality of it. I'm with you, G. The media really pissed me off last night. Tom Duke saying, I agree. Scottie was prompted by Grange and Josh about the not starting. Scottie is over it. And of course, there was trolls grabbing it as their new negative narrative. Yeah, I think he was thrown off by it. They win a game, everything's great. And why are you guys asking me these questions? Like, why don't we just talk about the game? And, they kind of made him search his feelings about it in that moment. It could be that he didn't even think about it until they talked to him about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't start. And maybe I should be like this or something like that. I think they implanted this bullshit into him in that interview. He didn't even think about this before they brought it up. And because they perceive it as being a slight, he's like thinking, wait, was this a slight? And then maybe he has to think about it in his own head about it that way. I don't know. It was really insidious. And I hate those guys for it. And I'm glad we're talking about it to a degree. Because in some places, they're not going to talk about this. The other media people won't talk about this, but we can talk about this on this channel and call them out and put them on blast and educate other Raptor fans more on this subject so that they're not overreacting and thinking the same way that the reporters are and thinking that this is a problem or anything. I really don't think it is. Just from reading Scott all summer and being there, I read him as just being annoyed with them. It's like when somebody asked him a stupid question in the Twitch, he would make a similar kind of face and be kind of like, "Yeah, yeah, that's stupid." And that's really what I read from it. And this is really good that we watched him a lot this summer because we can kind of understand him better than most people just from being around him on Twitch and watching him so much. And I really do feel like that's what it was. That's the impression I got. He's more annoyed with y'all than he is with not starting. All right, Mason Culligan saying, I knew we would win tonight as soon as I knew Pascal and Scottie and Banton were playing. Like I said, before we were a top three team, if healthy. Maybe I'm biased. Just feel when we're healthy, we're a great top three. I think we are a top three team also. That it very much will be possibly Milwaukee, Boston, and Toronto in the top three spots in the Eastern Conference. That we're healthy, we got good luck with health, and we continue to do the right things and continue through the season. Everything should work out the way it's supposed to, and we should be up there, Mason. I very much believe this also. In fact, I was saying before the season, we could be number one. By the end of the season, we could still be number one. We don't know what could happen with Milwaukee Bucks or Boston Celtics over the course of the season. There's a long season and a lot of things could go wrong. We may have had our period of going wrong already. And maybe we don't have any more periods like this for the rest of the year and it's all smooth sailing. And then we catch up with our ship going past their ship, even though they've got a little bit of a lead on us right now. So I wouldn't say anything's possible from like 1 to like 6 for sure. And I don't think we're a play-in team like a lot of people wish we were, but I think it was 1 through 6 and with a really heavy emphasis on being a top 4 Eastern Conference team. G saying people really dissect interviews. I remember the same thing with Fred. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I look at all this too, and like I really do look at like facial expression, body language, inflection of the way they said it. There's all kinds of different things, and plus you get to know the personalities of the different players and kind of understand them better. Like I love Fred. Fred is crazy. That one play where Neto was up on him, and he was really hounding him, really bugging him. He kind of knocked the ball loose for a second, and Fred recovered, and then Fred just shoved him right off, and then hit that three. And I turned to Adrianna at that moment. I said, "That's literally a moment where Fred said, 'Fuck around and find out.'" Because he like bumped him off. And he said in the interview afterwards, he was so happy the refs didn't call him for pushing him off because he just wanted to get that room. And he really respects Neto. He likes him as a guy, but he wouldn't tell us what he said to him in the trash talk in that moment. Because he said something trash talk right then. He hit him off and then he hit that beautiful three over him. That was such a cool moment. That's what I'm saying. You get to know the personality of the different Raptors. And I think that people still are kind of misreading Scottie in different ways. He really is not a selfish person. Some people think he was immature and showing his ego in that. But I think that he was just, like I said, he was confused by their questions and like frowning because like, why are you asking me this? We just won. Like he's all about celebrating his teammates like crazy. And he really is an ultimate team player, but they don't understand this. They want to suss him out for maybe being selfish and having an ego. And the same thing is with Gary. Like I said, these guys are like communists. They want the best for everybody. They're not selfish. Gary will come off the bench if it's the best thing for the team, and they're still winning. That's the whole thing. As long as they're winning, they'll do whatever role that is asked of them. If they're not winning, then that could be controversy. Be like, well, if I was starting, we'd be doing better. Then they can actually maybe probably say that. But if it's all working and everything's fine, there shouldn't be any issues about. Like that's what I'm saying. When there's a W involved in the night, these reporters need to get their ass in gear to be better questions and not trying to be so negative. Let's see. Forgetful's here. Good to see Forgetful. Totally agree with your take on the starting lineup. Morons fishing for drama instead of appreciating a brilliantly coached and played game. Yeah, not everyone can start. And I don't know why we put so much prestige on this. I think that Chris Boucher has been our best player in the last month. And in fact, they put a poll up in the arena before the game. Who's been the best player in the last month? And Chris won it. And that's against OG and Fred and Scottie. It was in the poll. And it's absolutely true. Has Chris started any of these games? No, he hasn't. And he's been absolutely fantastic. So it really is. They are morons, forgetful, and they maybe have an old mentality or like they make it a status symbol. You start, it's a status symbol. Fuck that. You ask Jamal Crawford about his career and whether starting mattered to him. You ask Lou Williams if starting mattered to him. Kevin McHale didn't start a whole huge chunk of his brilliant Hall of Fame career. So it's like you ask these players that play as six men or off the bench, they make it so much more important. And part of it is the Canadian market. These reporters are behind, and like down the States, people understand this. You can have really good second unit and have a strengthened bench. You want some of your best offensive players off the bench, because it's really important. And we hadn't been doing that. And that's part of the reason why our bench looked so bad last year, is because the pressure is stupid shit like this. Oh, you got to start your best five no matter what. Well, what if you put some good role players in with some of your best five, and then some of your best five are on the bench still? Well, that is really good consistency overall. And I think that's just smart right there. And who cares what other people think? It's just like, you're wearing a stupid suit today. Well, okay, that's your opinion. I don't care. I like this suit. I'm gonna wear it. That's the way we need to think about this. Oh, the reporters are gonna judge this and worry about who's starting. Well, we don't care. We like the suit we're wearing. And you can have that perception in your own mind. We understand how it works, and it's working real well. Let's see. Dwayne Greenridge is here. Good to see Raptor Freak Dwayne Greenridge this morning. Good morning to our gracious host, and good morning, Raptor Freaks. Thank you, Dwayne. Always happy to see your name in the chat with us. Jimmy's saying, Nick said that the reason he did not start Scott and Gary is because of another game that happened when people came back from injury and we lost. He wanted to keep the rhythm with the others. Yeah, that's just really smart. And he's right. He did make that mistake. I remember this game. It really was during the COVID years. We had everybody out from COVID, and then all of a sudden they were all back at the same time, and they were flat. when they came back. They got absolutely trounced in the first game they came back. It's because he put too many guys who had not been playing in the starting lineup all at once, and they just got destroyed by the team they played. So he was really thinking about the win or the loss. It's like, I can't bring 3 starters back in the starting lineup all at once that have not been playing. I can't do it. So he really made a smart decision. Now, Gary had been playing recently, but I'm going to tell you what, Gary's not fully healthy. And in some ways, him coming off the bench last night wasn't a slight, is maybe we're trying to help you get better and healthier, Gary, in some ways. So, yeah, really, really interesting starting lineup. And it started some controversy, obviously, with some stupid shit. But that was really the reason why, Jimmy. And honestly, if you're going to make the same mistake over and over again, he learned from that first mistake, and he's not going to make that mistake again, is what he said. Omari Parsons here. Good to see Raptor Freak Omari Parsons. Scottie knew better than to take the bait. Yeah, he listen, he's not lying. People, like, when he says it is fine, he means it. It was fine. These guys are professionals. You got to understand. They show up, as Nick described it. He didn't tell them this was going to happen. They show up and they see their assignments when they come in, and like, oh, it's like this today. And maybe they're a little bit like soul searching and wondering. But if they come to Nick and they ask him, he can give them a reason why. Then it makes sense to them. They're like, oh, well, actually, this makes a lot of sense if I think about what he's saying, that he didn't want so many guys coming back all at once in the starting lineup. That, okay, that totally makes sense. And it very well could be this is the only game Scottie doesn't start this year that he plays in, that he's going to start every single game after this. And this isn't even going to be an issue in like a couple of days, because he's just going to be a starter for the rest of the year. So, yeah, it's so dumb. They're jumping ahead. They're reading too much into things. And I'm glad that Scottie didn't take the bait to an extent, but he did in some ways. He kind of doesn't have a poker face. And what happens is they come at him with this, and it's like he shows the discomfort of the question in his face. That's really what it is. It's not as uncomfortable about the role that he was given that night. It's he's not comfortable with the questioning and coming at him with that angle. Leslie's saying we had a great win last night. Nick Nurse did the right thing for the team. They all did the right thing for the team. Scottie did the right thing for the team. Gary did the right thing for the team. OG did the right thing for the team. Juancho did the right thing for the team. Thaddeus, Pascal, Fred, they all did the right thing for the team. And that's what it is. It's a team. It's not a me, I have to start kind of team. It's not that. This is a team. And the team works as a team does. And there is some seniority with guys like Pascal, OG, and Fred, that they've been around for so long, and they know Nick Nurse's systems, that they really are valuable and important and mandatory. Now, these other guys are younger. They're coming up, and they're not necessarily mandatory to start, like Pascal is, obviously. Let's keep going. Fun guy saying, I really do not like Michael Grange in his bench questions last night. I know, none of us do. Fuck you, Michael Grange. I'll say it again. I saw you at the beginning of the game standing in the pathway to the players come out from underneath. And I was like, that motherfucking Michael Grange. He was talking to Sherman Hamilton. I was like, fuck that Michael Grange. I was saying it to him from far up in the 300 level. I was like, I hope he can maybe hear me subliminally. Could he hear me, you think, Adrianna?
I hope not, but hey.
You hope not. He probably could. Maybe somebody's cussing me somewhere in the arena right now, and I don't know where it is. He's like got super hearing or something, Michael Grange. That's funny. Logical saying, Lex is 100% Project Truth. These reporters ain't. That's a facepalm. Yeah. Seriously, Mike. I mean, this is part of Project Truth right here. Let's tell the truth about this starting controversy right now. Where's the problem? Is the problem with the starters? Who started? Is the problem with Scottie and Gary? No, the problem's with the reporters. That's where the problem is. Bishop saying, like a bench mob days, come at enemy in waves. I mean, if you think about it from the old bench mob, when Pascal and Freddie and CJ Miles and DeLon Wright, Yaka Pirtle, those guys were the bench mob. They had guys that became starters and all-stars later in the bench mob then. OG wasn't in the bench mob that year because he was a starter as a rookie. But he really, in some ways, could have been in that bench mob. because he didn't start some games. Now, that's the thing. There's prestige in that. Like maybe Scottie and Gary should be like, we need to start our own bench mob this time. And we're going to do it with Delano and Justin, our buddies. And we're going to make ourselves a new young bench mob on the Raptors. We'll get Precious too. We'll get this badass young stud bench mob that could be even better than the original bench mob of Pascal and Fred, as far as their production and keeping things up at a high level the whole entire 48 minutes, all 4 quarters. That's what I'm saying. This is a vision that I have. It's like there's a prestige in having that bench mob. It's like, oh, this bench mob's coming out. And that was really a huge strength of our team when we had the bench mob in effect before. Why can't we have our young upstarts who will be very ensconced starters down the road, people that will be completely starters for most of their career? But let's have a bench mob year, a very youthful, crazy bench mob that has people like Scottie Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., Precious Achua, Delano Banton, Justin Champagnie on it. That's what I'm saying. Scottie, get your bench mob together, bro. You could be the captain of it. And you could be like, these are my dudes. Like you love Delano and Justin. Those are your dudes. And you could be in the unit with them, playing with them more often and giving us more balance. I could see some real fruits to that. I could see some real fruits to that. See, Sue's saying, I'm not a fan of Grange either. I'm a fun guy. He is always trying to stir up crap. He is always trying to stir up the crap. Oh my gosh. Michael Grange, could you just stay home from the game? Don't even go down the arena anymore. Just stay home, please. Nako saying, I'm pretty fickle, but my opinion starting lineup should be point guard Fred, shooting guard Scottie, small forward OG, power forward Thad, and center Pascal. Also, I don't know if he ever said, but Scottie plays to win, not to be the best. Yeah, that's another part of it. They don't even understand the way he plays is more like a glue guy, a facilitator, a guy who's just doing the winning play in every second. And it doesn't matter about his scoring, obviously. If his scoring mattered, he would be trying to score way harder than he is at this point. He really is trying to just do the best thing for the team in any moment. And that's the ultimate team player. Well, the part of the description of the ultimate team player is to take the role the coach gives him on any given night. And last night it was a bench role. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just inherently in his circuitry as a human being is like compute, do what coach says, and then just do what it happens and trust in him. And boom, good things happen. We win, and I still get double digits scoring, and I still look real good, and I still get to play at the end of the game when things matter. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And I understand why this is a big topic today. And this is important for us to put this fire out to a degree on our channel here because, this is going to be burning out of control in different social media places on Twitter and Facebook today because of this stuff, because they've stirred this pot and it's so crazy. But this is exactly right. Nako's saying that like Scottie plays to win, not necessarily to be the best player on the court. In fact, he may be out there more to enhance people like Pascal and OG to get more success for them. And he really enjoys seeing them get success. Obviously, he is a big fanboy over Pascal. The way he talked about Pascal in that interview last night was such an interesting dichotomy between their stupid ass questions and that. Is like he would light up and just gush about Pascal and how good he is. And then they'd ask him a stupid question about starting, and he would like instantly go dour. So it's like they're misreading him. They're more pissed off with y'all than they are with the coach or with him not being able to start. I don't know how many more times I have to say that today. I like that starting lineup, and I think that may end up being our starting lineup for a while. That Gary may be the guy who just has to be the instant offense off the bench. And this may be smart. This may be really smart. It may be good for Gary. It may be good for Gary, and it could be good for our team also. As far as if we're going to try and keep him next season in the off season, it may be like his rate is different because, and I know that's part of why he wants to start is because his contract being up next summer, he can be more valuable saying he's a starter than being a bench guy. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it all develops and how it goes and how Nick finesses it all, because that's really what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to finesse it all. And I really do think he's going to do it all. His whole philosophy is, I do what is best for the Raptors to win. I don't care about anything else. My only thing that I do is I play minutes. I do things for the team to win, and I get strategies together for them to win. That's all that Nick cares about. And his duty in his heart is that I have to do the things that help the team have the best chance to win. And my decisions impact that. And that is why he takes that very seriously. So the players have to buy in that, okay, everything that coach is doing is from that angle, that he is doing it for us to win, and that his judgment says that this is the best possible thing to do on this given night for us to win against this given team. And that is the way it really is. And they buy in and say they trust Nick. And they say, okay, well, I'm not starting tonight, but there's a reason, because he really feels like this is a good look and this is the way we should be tonight to have the best chance to win. And that's all it is. That's the same thing he said last year when he started those guys over and over again. He's like, why do you keep starting these guys and playing them so many minutes? Well, I want to do what it takes the best chance for us to win. Is I have to play my best quality guys out there 40 minutes because this is the best chance to win. Well, that's what he's saying then. Well, maybe changing and morphing at this point. It's like, I don't have to play my guys 40 minutes now for the best chance to win. I need to flesh it all out and even it all out and use more guys equitably. And that is our best chance to win at this point, with the things we've discovered with guys on our bench like Juancho and Thaddeus, and how things have been going now compared to last year with our bench. So that's the thing. His whole motivation is, what is the best thing I can do for this team coaching wise to give us the best chance to win? And that's all that matters.
The fact that there's results, that's what matters.
That's right. All that matters is that W and the results at the end. So yeah, we got to tell these reporters that. All right, let's keep going. Monique saying, we knew Pascal would be returning. We called it. My Pascal campaign continues. Yeah, he just looked too good. And I'm just glad, Dr. Alex, I thanked you from the 300 level last night. I said, thank you, Dr. Alex, for giving the green light to our youngsters to come back and play last night. Pascal, Delano, Justin, Scottie, all of them were back and available. And I love that. Dr. Alex could have been like a hard ass and be like, no, Pascal, you can't play tonight. You're abductor. Come on now. You have to think about your abductor. You know, it could have been anything. I should have said that in a Scottish accent, I think, because he is Scottish, right? Dr. McKechnie? I think he's Scottish, right? You don't know.
I have no clue. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do it in a Scottish accent. I don't know. All right, let's see. G saying Scottie doesn't want to say the wrong thing, and you can tell he overthinks the interviews at times, leading people to believe things that are not true. I don't like the media for this reason. This is true. Like, he wasn't expecting this, and it could very well be that, like, after the interview, Fred will get him, or somebody will get him from the team, and they'll tell him how to deal with this a little bit better. We were coaching him ourselves on Twitch this summer. He was asking us how to do interviews better, and we were giving him insight and talking to him. One thing I told him is, like, Scott, when they ask you a question and you don't want to say or do your like verbal stammer that's kind of just a filler while you're thinking, don't say anything. Just take the moment to just process in your head and just don't say anything. And then when you're ready to speak clearly, just say it then. And there's nothing wrong with you taking your time up there. And you don't have to just rapid fire answer right away and be like, because he didn't like all the extra shit that he was saying in his speech. He wanted to be very well spoken. So I said, just take your time and just don't. And he listened to me, and he actually practiced it right afterwards on Twitch, and he was doing it perfectly fine. And it was like, wow, this kid does really learn quick. But I think this is part of like his learning curve as a young player, is he's kind of realized that the reporters are going to come at him in weird angles on certain nights, especially when he's not expecting it after a great win where everything's happy and good. Well, why are you bringing this up and bringing this towards me at this point? Is really kind of the reaction I got from him. It's like, we just won. Everything's great. Why are you guys doing this? It's kind of this thing. Cool Cat saying Nick Nurse has depth and he can choose the combination of players based on matchup. The way we won that game is proof. Pascal OG duo, Scottie Gary Trent duo impact. Yeah, and different like units. And I really like that Juancho Thaddeus pairing too. It's really, really nice. Really, really nice. I was really happy to see Delano got in the game eventually by the end of the game. I wasn't sure. It's like, I'm wondering, man, Delano's not a part of our rotation at this point. I hope he didn't lose anything, but he did get in earlier than the other guys. And then Doughton got in also by the end of the game too, which was good. Of course, Malachi got a little bit of time in there too. Like the little bit players there that were in garbage time. Birch had a really interesting 4 minutes in some ways. He got a couple rebounds and assists, but he missed both the shots he took. and they were kind of easy, close to the basket shots, and they're kind of like, Chem, But once again, when we play Chem plays in a game, we win. So it's almost like you got to just put Chem in for 4 minutes every single game, no matter what, because statistically we win those games. All right, let's see. Yeah, Scottie does really not want to say the wrong thing. So he is really kind of measuring things. And like I said, I think he was not expecting this to be one of the questions that they were going to come at him with, and that he wasn't totally prepared for it. And that may be what they're reading into. All right, let's see. Mason saying F USA Media when it comes to Toronto Raptors. It's another reason why I love our team, because everyone hates us, and to win feels even better. If we stay healthy, I promise will be moving up in the standings. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I have no idea all the garbage that Cleveland Cavaliers fans are saying today. I don't even know how they framed how they lost last night. What excuse are they making today? What is the excuse for how they lost last night? I don't understand they can really make any kind of weird bullshit excuse. I don't know what they're saying because I'm not on there anymore listening to the noise. But yeah, with the U.S. media, the way they treated the game last night, look, they're going to have to realize if we start beating big name teams in the East, like Cleveland and Boston, like in the next week, they're going to have to start recognizing that we're full strength. We're very, very much very dangerous and a championship contender. When we get Boston next Monday, I want to make a statement game in that game also. That we start stacking up big wins against top Eastern teams, they're going to be talking about us more on south of the border. They'll have to. They just will not be able to ignore us. Let's see. Leslie's saying OG shut down Mitchell last night. Really did. He needs that topical cream this morning because he got that O.G.itus. He had that O.G.itus pretty bad last night. I love that O.G.itus is very much afflicting NBA stars this year already. And I love seeing that he did it to Luka and now Donovan. Let's add more names to the list. Who's going to be on the list from New Orleans tomorrow night? OG, who is your target tomorrow night? I want to see who Nick Nurse six you on for tomorrow night. Sue's saying hello to you, Adrianna.
Hi, Sue.
She's saying hi. G's saying we appreciate the bench mob just as much as the starters. Oh yeah, the bench mob were like rock stars at that point. And look at the career paths of all those bench mob guys. Like even somebody like DeLon Wright, he's really kind of blossomed. He's hurt this year, but he was really playing really good at the beginning of the year for Washington. You look at Jakob Poeltl in San Antonio, the things he's been doing down there. These guys have all became huge things in some ways and really excelled. And that is kind of like shows like, if you're in a bench mob that's really solid, in a couple of years from now, well, boom, you start getting all-stars like Fred. You starting getting all NBA like Pascal. You have those opportunities. So maybe that's a good way to look at it, Scottie Barnes, is like maybe this could be this. But it could very well be this is the one time he won't start in this year. Really, it could really be like that too. Sue's saying at times the Cavs look shocked over what we were doing to them. I loved it. There is something about them being on the second night of a back-to-back. In the second half, obviously, that was going to be a huge help for us, that they would be tired. Plus, they do have some pretty bad injuries for them. That's probably the excuses they're making today is, we didn't have Kevin Love. Oh, we didn't have Jared Allen. They can make the injury excuse about why they lost last night. Now, one thing they can't really say, though, is that, the Donovan Mitchell getting shut off, that's a little scary to them, I think. I think that would be a little scary to them. That he did not do that well. Let's see. Cavs fans are giving Nurse a ton of credit. We're surprised to see, but they are giving him his flowers. That's awesome. All right, I like to hear that. They've been so venomous towards our fan nation since Scottie won Rookie of the Year. And then Gary scratched Darius Garland's eye on the first game of the season. And they really hated us after that. They were like talking all this trash about the Raptors and saying all this stuff. So to hear that they're actually giving flowers for the coaching and the effort last night, that's actually really nice to hear. I like that. Sue's saying OG locked down Mitchell so much, I barely noticed him on the floor, which is so weird. It was amazing. I know that's true. It's like some people may have thought maybe Mitchell wasn't even playing in the game last night because he was such a non-factor. And that is really impressive. Like we forgot that he was even playing like out there. It's true. It's totally true. I mean, we saw Garland doing stuff with his little sprout head. And, we saw Evan Mobley early, like really dominating, really bugging me, like how much he was getting stuff done in the first quarter with his moves and his offense and his rebounding was really bugging me, Evan Mobley. But then, like we didn't see Donovan ever step up or do anything like he did in Detroit the night before, because he stepped up in the fourth quarter and took the game from the Pistons. The Pistons had been winning the whole game, and then Donovan came back and won it. Well, I was a little worried about that in the fourth quarter last night, that they were going to try and turn on Donovan and get him to get going to try and overcome us. But OG wouldn't allow it, and neither would Nick Nurse. And that's awesome. Savage is here. All right, let's see. Savage is saying keep Scottie and Gary on the bench. Works in our favor. All right, see, Savage is not totally a troll, y'all. He is a fan. It's just he's got an edge. And I agree with this to a degree. I mean, it may be that Scottie's going to still start, but it may look like Gary may be. It may be that Gary's starting spot is a wild card at this point. That it really is like a matchup. We got to put Koloko in the starting lineup from time to time. Maybe he gets that spot. Maybe Thaddeus is starting that spot on a regular basis, and then we bring different looks depending on the other team. I like that flexibility. I think that that's smart. And thank you for the comment, Savage. I saw you in Raptors Tonight chat last night. Those are always fun, those Raptors Tonight. Duke Rocks is saying, not trying to be the devil's advocate, but the Cavs were on a back-to-back and missing Love and Allen. OG was awesome, though. Cavs podcast were sending flowers OG's way and wishing the player they had a player like him. Yeah, these are good points. And it's true. If I was Cavalier freak, I would be pointing to that to be shining a positive light about a loss to the Raptors. Today, I'd be like, well, we didn't have, our best big man, and we didn't have Kevin Love, one of our very important vets. And there were a couple of other things. I would be very much trying to spin it in positive ways from those kind of perspectives, the back-to-back also thing. Now, as far as like OG with this, what's happening right now is this is really good what he's doing with like Luka and Donovan, because this is really stuff that can build the case for Defensive Player of the Year kind of award. That if he can get a hit list of guys that he's taken out like this is the kind of stuff that is like a political campaign. Is like, this is good evidence that will get him interest and more steam from people around the league. The flowers that people like JB Bickerstaff, the Cavs fans, Luka Doncic, if they're saying good things about OG and how he plays defense, he may get more recognition. And then, boom, all of a sudden, we do see a defensive award for him at the end of the year. Whether it's the Defensive Player of the Year, that would be fantastic. But him making all defensive team would be huge in itself also. So I want him to accumulate more victims, more O.G.itus victims as the season goes on. And that could be really the body of work that can be presented and say, well, look, this dude has been doing this to these people. And all along, he's been doing this to people like LeBron for years. It's just y'all have not been paying attention. Well, now you're finally paying attention to how much he's a plumber and can shut the water off. Well, give him his shine and his just due respect and awards. And I think the more the list grows of people that got shut down by him, the more he will get more respect and more traction in these award arguments for Defensive Player of the Year or a defensive first team. So Mike's saying Fred VanVleet was running around screens to guard Mitchell as well. He definitely helped on Mitchell and him trying to get free. Yeah, I know we really center on OG as far as being like the king captain of the defense and doing stuff, but it is true. It's a team effort. And to do what we did to Donovan last night definitely had other guys involved in it. It's not just solely OG, but in some ways it is kind of like smart for us to really put the focus on him doing it if we want to get him towards the awards that I was just talking about. But yeah, Fred had a big part in helping shut down Mitchell too. But he's gonna, he'll give the shine to OG just to help him. Bishop's saying we really have 8 starters. Yeah, we have 8 solid starters. And some, Thad's not really even a starter. He's just kind of a role player off the bench that can be used for certain kind of things to help us in the starting lineup. But yeah, I think that we're right. I think we have 8 really good. I think we have like 9, 10 guys that could actually start and that would be really quality, good starters. And this is a great problem to have. The issues, the problems, the things that they're trying to cause problems in the media is that starting stuff, that's usually a good thing, because that means we have a lot of good guys that are in contention to start. So it's a good problem to have in some ways. But I just wish the media would treat it better. All right, let's see. Mason saying, I felt so happy seeing our boys in jerseys again. I felt so happy throughout the game last night. I felt we were going to win through the whole game, and the media, it came in and did that at the end. Ooh, okay. I like what Omari said there. Okay. Listen, yeah, I felt real good. The vibe was strong. Like I telling you, I came in there with some inertia of being down there, and I was like, look, I went to the Cleveland Cavalier game at the end of the season last year where we were in a fight to stay out of the play-in. That I came and sat down there and I was very, very loud and I brought a certain kind of energy. I wanted to duplicate that last night, and I very much did. That this is a part of the vibe. You want to bring down there, come down there with your A game as a fan and really, really get loud all through the game. The crowd was quiet at times last night. It was bugging me. Also, another thing is the in-game ops. Y'all got to stop playing the Queen, We Will Rock You on defense. You got to stop playing the Rolls Royce, Car Wash, and you got to stop playing the Billy Squire Stroking. Those little musical interludes do not benefit defense chat. That you can't chant defense over that We Will Rock You like it's just like that. So you're expecting us to kick the chair in front of us, the person sitting in front of us, we're supposed to kick to make the noise. I mean, I just wish in-game ops at Scotiabank Arena would get rid of those cheers on the defensive end. Make them very much the beats that where people can say the word defense too. Because when you're playing Rolls Royce, Car Wash, nobody can say defense to that. And it lacks an energy on that particular trip down the court. That when you do the regular defense beat, upstairs, organ player or whoever the fuck is in charge of this shit, that is a good time to do. That's when we can all say defense together. But when you're playing We Will Rock You, nobody can say defense during that particular little playing of music. And I think it hurts us in some ways because we want to be able to say defense on every trip down the court when the other team has the ball. So get rid of the We Will Rock You, get rid of the Car Wash, and get rid of the Billy Squire Stroking. I don't even believe it. I can't even believe that I have to say that. Now, on the offensive end, play all the music you want. It's fun. That Robert Palmer didn't mean to turn you on. You know, the Metallica, the whatever, the Guns N' Roses, the AC/DC. But when we're on defense, just keep it to the music and the chants that get the people to say defense instead of just sitting there listening to the like who's saying defense to that? There's no rhythm to say defense to that. And I hope that the in-game ops can get my message some way, somehow, and just X out those other two, those musical interludes is what I call them. They're not conducive for getting a defensive energy in the building. They're just basically like the wah wah from Rolls Royce. I'm like, that's not good for our defense. What we want to do as the fans to help the team with the defensive chant. So organ player, whoever's in charge of in-game ops, cut those out. I really want to see that in the future. You know, you must be listening to people because you now have that countdown at the end of the half, which is really smart. You play that desperate dramatic music, dun 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 dun, and you have the countdown for like 2 minutes, and that is really good because people can be out there taking a leak or getting some food or something like that, and they say, "Oh, that music's on," and they got to rush back to their seats, so they're back in their seats for the third quarter. That's a really smart move that the building did that. So if you can listen to me critique, get rid of the We Will Rock You, get rid of the Car Wash, and get rid of the Stroking, Billy Squire Stroking. You just got to put defensive chant music every time the other team has the ball. That's what I want. Oh, yeah. All right, let's keep going. Monique saying team effort win, made it home in time for Raptors tonight. Awesome live chat. Awesome, Monique. I'm glad you got home safely. And what a fun night. Always so happy to see you at the game. Omari said he just responded to Josh Lewenberg on Twitter. This is good. Y'all give him some hell. And, you know, say some of the things that we've been saying here today about the whole situation. They're like, look, Scottie's more annoyed with y'all than he is with not starting. Just tell them. Set them straight so they know. You go, Omari Parsons, and you let Josh Lewenberg know what's up. Sue's saying Pascal got another double-double. In his 10 games he has played, he has 7 double-doubles. He looked great out there on his first night back. He really did. He didn't miss a beat. In fact, he may have been better than he was the games before he got hurt. Sue's saying, how about that play where Fred VanVleet threw it down the court to Hernan Gomez to Pascal, who threw an amazing pass to OG for the dunk? That was some slick ball. The fun thing about that is none of them put the ball down on the court to dribble. It was all pass, pass, pass. And that's very old school basketball because in the beginning of the NBA, you could not dribble. You could only grab the ball and pivot and pass. You could step two, and then you had to pass it again. So there was a lot more passing in the very early NBA. And that was kind of reminiscent of that. That's something that coaches dream of, is the ability to get the ball down the court without even dribbling it, passing it so well, and then getting such a good shot like that. It was a beautiful thing. And that's why Jack said that in that play. It's like, that's just a beautiful thing, and the unselfishness. They asked Pascal after the game about that pass to OG and how he read it like that. And Pascal said, listen, it's not that I'm really consciously thinking about this. I'm really just like a medium. The energy flows through me, and it just kind of gets directed and is like very instinctual, that he found OG in that way to get that dunk and like that split second decision. He's like, he can't break it down or explain it to anybody how he read it or that he saw it ahead. He's just like, I just do what I do, and this is just how it happens. This is what he said after the game about that play, which is really, really cool. And it was really nice. And that was a nice dunk. It was a very nice dunk. Paul B, we may have to note that one. But yeah, very good passing all the way up the court, no dribbles. Tom Duke saying one gets O.G.itus when either your water is apparently shut off or conversely, you're overwhelmed by flooding. Yeah, you can get O.G.itus. It's definitely got water involved. It's a water involved affliction. And usually your water is turned off and you're dried out, like you're a husk of yourself because your water's been dried out. Forgetful saying there are good people in the media. Looneyberg not among them. How could you miss the joy on Scottie's face after making great plays? Yeah, exactly. I mean, he really was like an on-off switch. He lit up when they talked about Pascal, and then he got dour when they talked about the starting stuff. I think you're right. There are good people in the media, and there's some that I really celebrate. We talked about this recently. Like, I really love the young crop of guys that are down there, like Oren Weisfeld, Aaron Rose, Samson Folk, Katie Heindel, people like Savannah Hamilton's in the scrum too. Lindsey Dunn, these, even Eric Kareem's hit and miss. Sometimes he can be a little controversial, but it's really the old heads that are a problem. They're the ones that are still trying to, they may be unoriginal or not creative with how they write. So they have to manufacture something by creating a controversy. In that group, I put Michael Grange, Josh Schulenberg, Doug Smith, Mike Ganter. It's really those guys are kind of more problem guys with what they could ask and kind of stir shit up. Whereas the young guys are a little bit more respectful of this. I really do think if you come from the approach of like, all right, journalists are supposed to be unbiased and not be homers like we are. They're not supposed to be in favor of the Raptors. And that may be part of the reason why they do this way. It's like they want to prove that they're not for the team inherently by like asking really asshole questions. Meanwhile, these youngsters that are coming up, they were fans of the team. Like Samson Folk and Will Lou started their career as fans like me that just wrote content, and they got noticed, and then they turned into real professional jobs with press passes and going to the game. But their initial part of their journey is as a fan. So in some ways, they don't want to hurt the team with what they're asking them. Whereas maybe these old heads that have been around forever, they're used to the team being kind of up and down. They maybe were covering them during the expansion years, and they were used to being assholes and trying to pull things apart. They were part of why Vince Carter left. They're a part of why Tracy McGrady left. And that's what we got to understand. So maybe these younger ones, they're more fans because they grew up as fans. And these guys were just journalists the whole time. And that's the difference between a Doug Smith and an Oren Weisfeld. And that's why I like the future of our reporters more than the old heads. And this is maybe the distinction is between the ages. The younger guys are great. The older guys are fuck down. Yeah, you call him Looneyberg. Now, I want Josh to get it together. Josh, if you're going to be just straight up, like down the line reporting, like just do that. Just do that. In some ways, you're inferring things about Scott and what he said last night and putting your own context into it. I'm telling you, I've read him way more this summer than you did, seeing him on Twitch. And this is what I read it as. He's annoyed with you. He's not annoyed with not starting. Monique saying open gym captured Pascal's walk-in so well. 3 stars, Pascal, OG, and Fred. Same 3 stars as me. Monique. Mine are OG, Pascal, and Fred also. Yeah, I love that little clip of him coming to the game and walking in. He's like saying in the parking lot, I wonder if he's going to let me play. Because he didn't even know when he's arriving at the arena. He's like, I really hope he's going to let me play. And then he did. He walks in and Chris is in the locker room. And yeah, it's just cool. Like all the stuff with Pascal right now is so classy and interesting. Like I said, he's a man on a mission from God. That he really is like the Blues Brothers at this point. And there's something that's undeniable about that cannot be stopped. And I really feel like that's going to happen with him. Like, listen, if he has that kind of feeling behind him, you don't think he can put us on his back like a Kawhi Leonard did and take us to a second NBA championship here in Toronto? Pascal can do this. He really very much can. He is that superstar that Shaq and Chuck said we didn't have last summer. That he is actually that superstar, and they need to recognize. And Shaq will be having to say, "Oh, I have to apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game." He will have to be saying that about Pascal by the end of the year. Let's see. Mason saying, I agree with Lex. Star of the game. And I think people need to realize Scottie is young. Give him the respect to get better. He's amazing right now. My point is to give the young man some time to learn. It's actually probably really smart to give him some time off the bench just to have him more well-rounded in perspective of the different roles on a team. Down the road, Scottie may be an older player and he may have to be a bench player later in his career. You think about Thad's journey with different times when he started, he didn't start in his career. So that's what I'm saying. This could be very good for him. In fact, I think OG's more well-rounded because he came off the bench in his sophomore year in the NBA. He started his first year, and his sophomore year that we won the championship, he didn't start that year. They had to have him come off the bench because they're starting guys like Danny Green and Kawhi with Kyle and who was it? It was like Pascal and then maybe Serge or Marc Gasol. So that's why this is all going to help Scottie, and he trusts Nick Nurse, who has the best intentions for him to grow and get more money and be a better player over time. Then this is part of it. Smart Towel RG400. Such a dumb thing to ask about. Yes, great first comment, Smart Towel, and appreciate your subscription. And I hope you'll join us more often every morning. We're here every morning, 9:30 a.m., either previewing or reacting to a game or just fun, like trivia or something like that. But yeah, such a dumb question. Why did they have to bring this up? Things are going great and they're very happy. So it's like, we're doing a little bit of damage control here and maybe talking about it a little bit more than we need to. But I just really want to hammer this point home about the situation with the interview with Scottie after the game last night. Duke saying, when talking about Siakam, Scottie mentioned the word 7. I heard that a few times. Okay, it jumped. Hang on. I heard that a few times. All right, it really jumped. Oh, wow. I love some of these comments I can kind of see that you guys have already. Okay, hang on. We will get every comment read. Don't worry, guys, for sure. You know that. Oh, wow. Okay, we're very deep. I'm going to have to definitely speed up a little bit. Okay. Duke saying, when talking about Siakam, Scottie mentioned the word 7. I heard that a few times in basketball circles. What does that mean? 7? I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're saying. I don't know. The only things that I heard him say about Pascal is that he really enjoys watching him, that he can't believe how good he is, that he is a little bit jealous of how good he is, and he is on the low key trying to steal some of his moves. This is what he kind of said and stuff. But I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and watch it. I'm not sure what that reference is either. Or what I'd have to hear how he said it in the sentence and the context. Nameless saying, alcohol roster makes personal sacrifices for the greater good of the team. What other franchise players do that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how every team, if they really want to be the best that they can be, the players have to buy into being the role that the coach needs them to be to get the best out of the team. And other teams get hampered by this because of egos and preset the things that they want done. And things like with Kyrie can be very destructive around the team. Things with Russell Westbrook, these kind of personalities and demands that people have can really take away from the team winning because they're selfish in what they want. And that's a big part of why we're good is because these guys have bought in and they're not doing this kind of stuff to hurt the team. They really understand that Nick has their best interest. That's something they talked about a lot on Sunday is you want the players to buy in and trust your coaches and their decisions because they know that ultimately they have their best interests at heart and the team's best interests at heart overall. Forget was saying Looneyberg and his ilk would happily create division on the team. Drama sells. Yeah, they want things to be bad so that they have things to write about. Bishop's saying none. Nameless, good point. What other franchise do that? Players do that. A lot of them do. Like I can think of the old Spurs teams. Duncan did a lot of things to help the team and take a back seat. There are franchise players that do really make sacrifices for the better of the team. Kevin Durant in his situation right now, I'm sure he'd make sacrifices because he's desperate just to get closer to a championship and near the end of his career right now. So it really is where you are in your career. Like if you're early on, you're trying to build a name, maybe you are a little selfish about getting minutes and starting because you want to get established. But maybe later on in your career, you're like, I've already done this or anything. I can take a back seat and I can see where I can help other people around me get better. Now, I'm sure there's quite a few franchise players that actually do this in the league. You have to do this inherently in basketball to be successful, is to be sacrificing for the better, the good of the whole team. Let's see. Bishop's saying, okay, Vinny Max here. Good to see Vince McMahon. Would you honestly say that up to now, the season, Scottie Barnes has regressed as a player? No, it's just a weird kind of situation where he's trying to do more low post stuff with more physicality around him. He's trying to score like brute force, like OG does. And he didn't try to do that last season. And that's really the learning curve and the stumbling block is that he's going in and doing much harder things this season than he did last year. Now, going down the low post where you get like 2 or 3 guys hitting you and you still have to finish the basket, well, he's getting success in making the basket still, but he's learning the contact and it's different. And that's part of why he's struggling right now is he's dealing with more contact this season than he dealt with last year. Last year, he didn't have to deal with contact directly because that wasn't really how we were trying to use him in the offense. It was really more shooting and easy layups. But he's now trying to go right at them like OG would and putting his shoulder and his back on them and bumping them and trying to finish through them. And you saw like there was one play last night where he got hit in the face on a lay-in and he got really mad at the ref because he got hit in the face. Well, that's part of what he's learning is that he's getting hit going to the basket like OG does, like Pascal does. Everybody does. And he's learning to finish through the contact and also to try and get the refs to call the whistle on the contact too. And he's not getting total respect on that yet. So that's part of the reason why it seems like he's regressing or struggling. He's doing harder stuff with more contact all around him, stopping him. And everything else looks fine. His 3-point shooting is actually better than it was this year. And, it's not that he's regressing. It's just he's doing harder things that maybe his output statistically is not at the same level as last year. But everybody laughs when everybody says, oh, he's in a sophomore slump. He's not as good this year. Fred laughs about that. Chris Boucher laughs about that on Hustle Play this recent episode. They're laughing about it. They're basically saying like, oh, you think Scottie's not as good as last year? Well, you don't understand what's going on here. It's really interesting, though. But thank you, Vince, and glad to see you this morning. Smart Towel saying, I really think Trent should be our 6th man, still get him over 30 minutes. It isn't an insult. I think if he was our everyday 6th man, he could go for a 6th man of the year award. Yeah, I agree with all of this, Smart Towel. I think that I know I kind of wanted this last year, but I knew it's like a fine balance of dealing with Trent being jerked around in Portland and getting depressed. Because they put him in the starting lineup, then he wouldn't be in the starting lineup, then he'd be in the starting lineup, and then he wouldn't be in the starting lineup. He was getting jerked around. So it's really, we got to give him that very clearly defined role so that he knows what to expect, if it's him starting or not starting. And he can really flourish in the role if he understands what it is going to when he comes in. Like he would show up to the arena in Portland, and he wouldn't be in the starting lineup when he thought he would be in the starting lineup. And it's just bad communication about what his role should be. And that was part of the reason why he was depressed playing for the Trailblazers. Well, he's come to Toronto when he knows what to expect more. That's all he needs. It doesn't matter if he starts or not. He just wants to have a very clearly defined role so that he knows what to work within. And you're exactly right. He will still get the minutes. He'll still get the close games out. It's just he won't be starting at the beginning of the game. Oh, big whoop. In fact, it's maybe better for his numbers because he'll be playing against lesser talent and he may be able to get open easier and make more high percentage of his shots that he struggled starting recently. And he didn't last night coming off the bench. That's eye opening to me that he looked way smoother and that things were coming to him more easily coming in later in the game when maybe some of the starters are already tired and he can capitalize on shooting over like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell because they've already been running around for 6 minutes and he's coming in fresh. So there's a lot of good hidden like possible bonuses from what you were describing, Smart Towel. And it is really going to be up to Nick, and we'll see how he goes from here. That Thaddeus may have his starting spot going forward, and that he may actually be in the running for sixth man of the year by the end of the year, Gary Trent, if he can get his scoring up real high. And that's not a bad thing to have on your resume, Gary, if you can be sixth man of the year or even in the running for it, because you have that kind of scoring power that you could be in the running like a Lou Williams would in years past. So let's see. Cool Cat saying our returning players were limited in minutes. Their staggered court time made the limited minutes efficient. Yeah, that's a byproduct of these guys all coming back at once. You don't want to tire them out or, do anything crazy. And we saw a lot more equitable like distribution of the minutes. And I felt like that felt really good. That felt really good. I mean, let's look at the minutes real quick. The most minutes played by anyone was OG. He had 37 minutes, and that's really because he's cutting water off and doing everything. He's been going for a while, and he's not in a game coming back, so they can afford to play him a lot. But then Fred's at 32 minutes. I love that because Fred flirts with 40 minutes way too much often, and this is where we want him to be around is right around 30 minutes. Siakam, 30 minutes exactly. That's obviously where the cap was for him as far as like him coming back. They're saying, okay, he can play 30 minutes and that's it. And that's what they did. And then after that, you see who the next person with the most minutes is Scottie Barnes. And he didn't start. He got 27 minutes. So he got the fourth most minutes of all the Raptors, but he didn't start. And then who's second? Who's the next one? The next two people are Gary and Thad with 26 each. So in a way, Gary and Scottie got starter minutes, even though they came off the bench. And it was just more equitable all around. There was like just spread out more, and that made things better in some ways for the team. I really do think it's like better for their energy at the end of the game because they're not as exhausted from being overused the whole game because there's more guys getting time spread out. Really, really smart. Really, really, really smart. And I love it, Cool Cat. And I hope that we can do this more and not really go so heavy on like 3 or 4 guys that are getting 40 minutes every game. Duke Rocks is saying, I believe it was the question that the Cavs coach was correcting. Reporter implied the Raps were an average team, and Bickerstaff corrected the reporter, quickly stating the Raps are a very good team. Well, he better think that because we beat him both times we played him. He better think that. I appreciate JB Bickerstaff giving respect to our team and correcting the reporters. See, you reporters, you don't know jack shit. NBA coaches, NBA players, they know about us. Y'all can sully us and discount us and think this. And I'm sure it was a Cleveland reporter that has this bias. Well, JB Bickerstaff set him straight and told him the reality of what he was dealing with last night. And I appreciate that from you, Coach Bickerstaff. Monique saying three times a time being a part of your live stream thumbnail. Thanks for liking the picture so much. No problem, Monique. I just like that. If we're going to go the game and there's going to be some of us there, we can get a group picture and put it. If it's a game in another city, if y'all are in a game in another city, send me a thumbnail. I'll always put Raptor Freak people on blast for the thumbnail picture for each game. And of course, always love getting a picture with you, Monique.
That was a great picture.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking it, Adrianna. That's why she says a great picture because she took the picture. Now, I wanted you to be in the picture with us, though.
Well, I don't want to be in pictures most of the time.
She didn't want to be in the picture. Okay. Oh, she took.
Not that I don't love you guys. I do.
All right. Kenny's saying your injury report was spot on. Thanks for the update. Thanks, Kenny. Well, really, I was lucky to see them in person, and that's where I could get really accurate. If I was down there watching them in person, I'd probably be able to do that pretty good. But yeah, thanks, Kenny. And listen, I just want to be as helpful for all of us to understand what's going on with the team as possible. Updates and just trying to be as accurate and smart in my thinking. And that's usually kind of like putting one into. I do the Winders thing. I was like, oh, well, if they're playing this good, then he could play. Why didn't he play? Oh, yeah, Pascal's going to play. Boom. and then he's playing. Boom. And I appreciate you, Kenny, as usual. Always good to see Kenny in the chat. Mason saying, I don't know what people think about Scottie. Yes, he had a great rookie year, but it takes time to score 25 points a game. Even a skillful player like Scottie, it's hard. Injuries happen. Vinnie Mac, you're fired. You're fired. No chance in hell. Listen, I don't think Scottie is the kind of player that we think he is. I don't think he's necessarily like a superstar player, like in a superstar scoring sense. I think he's more of an all-round, like triple-double kind of superstar. Like he's maybe more like Jason Kidd. Like I've said a couple times, Jason Kidd wasn't always like the main scorer on his teams. He was the point guard that set everybody up, but still got triple-doubles. And I think that in some ways, Scottie is more like a Jason Kidd than he would be like a Pascal in some ways. I don't know. I may be wrong. It could be down the road he completely develops into this like go-to scorer guy like Pascal is. But in some ways, I think Scottie's NBA, like natural NBA kind of play and way he should play is like a Jason Kidd. As a facilitator, a glue guy who just stuffs the stat sheet with all kinds of different stuff, but isn't really the focal point of the offense, is really just a glue guy who's setting people up, getting rebounds, getting steals, getting blocks, and getting threes here and there, but never really will be like the leading scorer of the team. Is that going to be all right with people? That even though he's the fourth pick in the draft, that he can be just like a glue guy facilitator and still a Hall of Famer kind of guy, but it's just that style like Jason Kidd is? That's what I'm saying. Really think about that in your mind as far as like your expectations for Scottie and his scoring and what he should be doing in the future. What if that's not even supposed to be part of his destiny? What if his destiny is what I just described instead? And there you go. And I'm doubling down with Mason on this. You're fired. You want to join the Kiss My Ass Club, Vince? Yeah, get down there and pucker up. Yeah. What a gross person, Vince McMahon. All right, let's see. Randolph Phillips saying, Evelyn, I am believing for healing and a full recovery for your grandmother. Be strong. Was it your grandmother? No, it's her. She has the flu. Right? Isn't that what I said? I'm not sure. I think it's just Evelyn has the flu. I don't think it's her grandmother. But whoever has the flu, we just want you to get better.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Adrianna says so too. All right. Duke Rock's saying Bickerstaff stated the Raps were going through injury issues and their record doesn't reflect how good they are. Yeah. The real ones know, like insiders know, intelligent basketball people know. Like, I don't understand why people can't understand this. If you're a fan, you've been paying attention for a long time, people are missing. Pascal Siakam is missing. This is not the normal Raptors at 500. And that, when he comes back, expect us to be like a 600, 700 team instead. We'll be like a 700% winning team. Like 70% of the games will win, maybe even 80% of the games very soon. As we get a little bit of easier schedule, we've been playing tough teams and still winning, even though we're injured. Smart Towel saying, Duke Rocks, them being injured probably had them have 2 or 4 more losses. That Atlanta game that we lost at the last second should have been a win. They said this last night. Scottie said in his interview, it's like, we were 5-5 while Pascal was gone, but we could honestly have won like 1 or 2 of those games while he's gone. It was that close, and there were just dumb mistakes at the end of the game. So it really could have easily been like we were 6-4 or 7-3 while Pascal was absent. It's just there was poor execution in Atlanta, and there was another game where we lost that was probably very winnable in that stretch also. Whether it was the Brooklyn game with Kyrie, maybe not, but some of the other games before that, maybe, we could have easily been 6-4 or 7. And all right, I look at it by months. We're about to finish November. We got our one last game in November against New Orleans on Wednesday, and there's 14 games in the month of November. I told myself if we won 8 games in the month of November, I'd be very happy. Well, we can still do that, even though we've been 500, because 8 games out of 14, that's 8-6. That's a winning record. That's all I wanted. Well, right now we're at 7-6. So we win tomorrow night, we will have 8-6 record that I wanted, above 500 for the month of November. And that's fantastic considering Pascal didn't play the whole month. So that's what I'm saying. If we lose tomorrow, we'll be 7-7. That's exactly 500. But I'd like to get the win over Pelicans and have a winning month of November for this season. And that's what I'm looking at now. And it's fantastic because I told myself a week ago, it's like we need to almost win out this whole month to get above 500 for this month. And well, we're on track to do it as long as we take care of the Pelicans tomorrow. Let's see. Sue saying Matt pushing Jack's Christmas album at the end and him giving Jack a big hug. They are too funny. Yeah, Jack Armstrong's concert's next week, guys, at Danforth Music Hall on the 6th. That's next Tuesday, a week from today. If you could go to that, go to it. You're going to get to see some great comedians at it. You know, Adrian Fish and Nick Reynoldson. Nick Reynoldson is, of course, of Talking Raptors fame, that podcast. He will be doing stand-up at that show for Jack's show. So if you're a big Nick and Barry fan from that Talking Raptors podcast, go down there just to see Nick Reynoldson do a stand-up. He is hilarious. I've known Nick for a couple years and seen him around town, and I've seen him do stand-up many times, and he is so funny. So go for Jack singing, but also get to see Nick Reynoldson do his stand-up too. And I want to hear Jack's album. I want to hear if he's got pipes. I want to hear if he's got pipes. I want to hear what he's singing like, and not like on the broadcast. I want to hear it produced in a studio with the microphone and like good audio quality, not just like the sound from the arena and him on the broadcast. Let's see. Mike saying BJ also mentioned he watched the Dallas tape, how we guarded Lucas, so he knew what was coming and still had no real plays and game plan against it. Well, I'm sure it wasn't totally the same thing we did to Luka, what we did to Donovan last night. But yeah, you know, of course, JB Bickerstaff is going to look at it. Why'd you call him BJ? It's like BJ. I guess he's is he Bernie Jr.? Because his dad's Bernie Bickerstaff. Is he JB Bickerstaff? Is like Bernie Bickerstaff Jr.? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, JB, BJ. Anyway, but yeah, it's a different kind of plan to do what you do to Luka than Donovan. So in some ways, he can't totally gauge what we're going to do to his team by what we did to Dallas. That really, that's the craftsmanship of Nick Nurse with his defensive plan, and why Earl Watson called him a genius on Sunday, is that he really finely handcrafted defensive plan to stop another team very specific to their personnel and what they're doing and what they like to do. He looks at teams like Cleveland and he says, well, they really like to do this. This is their bread and butter. They can really get easy scores. They're very comfortable scoring this way. And he says, how can I take this away from them? Is what he's thinking. He's like, oh, Cleveland does a really good job with this pick and roll or something. Well, how can I take this away from them? And he really schemes for that. That's where he starts with his defensive plans. It's like, I'll take the best things that they can do, that they love to do, and they're so successful at, and I will take it away from them with my plan for how we're going to guard them. That is the whole place where he starts with this whole thing. And he finally crafts one for each team that he sees, because they're all individual. They're different. They're different looks, different players, different strengths, and that he really gets a certain specific thing. And that's really how he does it. Monique saying officially in the 6th seed, moving on up. How'd that play-in bracket? I like to see that, but everybody's so clustered up in the middle of the Eastern Conference still that it really is like you're going to jump around a whole lot until people are kind of getting sorted. Now we see that Washington and Atlanta are dropping a little bit now that we've jumped over them. You know, we see that the Knicks have fallen out of the play-in. You know, we see Miami coming into the play-in and Brooklyn also. So there is a little bit of direction going. We're at this point, 20 games in the season, where these teams really are going to be going in the directions of where they're supposed to be going. And they may have had a good start, but they may be more realistically heading towards where they're going to be at the end of the year. And I really think that Washington's a little bit higher than it should be right now. Atlanta's about right. I don't know if Miami will actually continue to be in the play-in. I think they might fall out of the playoffs by the end of the year, and maybe Chicago will jump in and take that spot. And then the Pacers are way too high for where they should be right now. They're going to drop at some point, and they could fall all the way out of the playoffs by the end of the year. So there are people above us, like the Cavs, the Pacers and the Sixers, that I think we're going to overtake them, and boom, we'll be in third right then. That's really like those three teams. I don't think Indiana will be above us for much longer. You know, Philly's got their problems and issues. They may be the one that's most likely, and I think Cleveland's going to be on their way down soon. Like, seriously, I don't think Cleveland is as good as everybody thinks they are. They had a good hot start, and it's looking pretty good. But listen, they're like Atlanta. I think we can beat their ass in a 7-game series real easy. So, all right, let's keep going. Tom Duke saying, I like having Adrianna there as your filter. She's just kind of like sitting here, kind of, what are you doing?
Just relaxing.
She's
just watching him. And of course, I have to make my commentary.
A little bit of commentary. She's just kind of playing on her phone, kind of vicariously listening and stuff. But yeah, it was something, since she was at the game last night with me, I figured she could have her 2 cents in this stream and kind of give her. What do you want to say about the game last night, Adrianna?
I just want to say, go Raptors.
Go Raptors is very simple commentary there. I like it.
Yes.
Well, what did you notice about the game or anything? Like anything you want to say? You could say anything. You could talk about that kid that you thought was so cool.
Oh, yeah, there was a kid a couple of rows in front of us, and he was yelling so much. And I'm like, God, it's your people, Lex.
It's my people. That's right. I was like, the little kid was my people, because we were pretty much yelling the whole time during the game. And I was like, that little kid, you go, little kid. That's what I'm saying. The youth and the way people come up, it changes things. Much like the reporters, the way I described them as being fans before, then maybe that'll help our media scrum in the future. Well, the kids are much more louder than the parents and the young crop of fans that come to the arena. And it gives me such hope that, like, even more so as time goes on, we'll have even crazier crowd, because these kids are like all along been like these crazy fanatical fans like us. And I just love that. It's like it's same kind of thing in the world in politics. Like the children in the United States, the young people came out and voted in this election in the midterms, and they made their voice heard. And that sometimes these people are the ones that give me hope for the future. That sometimes things look really bad and things are going wrong. Well, the young people make me have inspiration and hope that things are going to be all right. Whether it's our young reporters in the media scrum asking the right kind of questions, or the young people in our building cheering the team on the way they were. He was a fun kid, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was very cute. I think he was probably 6 or 7.
6 or 7-year-old kid, but just as loud as me and as relentless and cheering just as me too. It was crazy. So Tom's got the 5 Raptor lineup. He's saying, I love spicy following God's plan. Yeah, I love that too. I mean, there's something about having that on your side that's like, oh, don't mess with that. This man was in the seminary, and he was looking like he may be going down a career towards a path with God as far as being a priest. And no, that change in his life went towards basketball all of a sudden, and then Pascal, boom, here all of a sudden is where he is. Here's breakfast for you guys. Well, thanks, Tom. You got that Canadian maple syrup, 100%. Hope Diedrich Taylor, I hope you're having a fine breakfast this morning. Thank you for coming to Toronto last night. Bishop saying Cavs were stunned. They played great, and we still hammered them. They didn't shoot well. That's the one thing about them. They did not shoot as well as they normally do. Their 3-point percentage was anemic, really, really bad. And maybe that is partly our defense and really covering them well. Maybe it's also they partly had a bad night, like shooting wise. So there's probably a mix of both. Kenrick saying, good to see Kenrick James. Chronic Art, Kenrick Chronic Art James on Facebook. If y'all want something commissioned art wise, he did a fantastic Raptor Freak piece for this channel. And he is open to business. If you guys want something commissioned or something done by him, look him up on Facebook. That's Kenrick Chronic Art James. And thank you for being here, Kenrick. Aggressive Scottie starts passive Scottie bench. He has to attack mismatches. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Some people are saying he's passive in times. I don't see it. I think that sometimes he just has different energy levels at different times. Like sometimes he's really up. Like there was a time this summer in Twitch where he's watching an old highlight from last year. It was a game against Orlando in Orlando, and he was doing like a crazy dribble, and he was moving really well. And he said, "Yeah, I was feeling it right then." So there's like differences in like how they feel at the time. Like Scottie obviously was really feeling it in that moment. Like guys can be in a groove or really feeling high energy, and it translates on the court. And you could tell the way he was moving, the way he dribbled, the way he's like doing stuff, that sometimes you really feel it and sometimes you don't. And sometimes what it has to do with is nagging injuries. It could be that you're feeling real good and strong, and boom, you can get in that zone real easy where you're feeling it. Oh, he's feeling it. Like Scottie said, I was feeling it in that moment against Orlando in that game. Nobody could stop me. Well, I think that recently Scottie and Gary in particular have both had nagging injuries that have made it hard for them to really get into that really feeling it kind of moment. I think Gary's been sick and he's had an injury. And then Scottie's had this injury, nagging injury, his knee. He did admit it was his knee, and it happened a few games ago in the interview last night. But it's not really a big deal or anything. But it may kind of hinder him. It's just nagging NBA injuries during the season, and that could actually have a factor in whether they seem passive or aggressive out on the court. Is that they may be hurting a little bit more than on another day or something like that. So Lolita's saying it's a wow game last night. The boys got it done. So happy to see them back and playing. Welcome back, boys. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. The boys are back. Cool Cat saying, I find this entire season we are defending threes way better. Our players are understanding the scheme. No threes go unchallenged. Yeah, that's part of this report card that they showed on Sunday is like how many closeouts on threes are you doing? And this is true, Cool Cat. I totally get what you're saying because last season I felt like we did not guard the three very well. We allowed too many open threes, but this year we're doing a way better job with it. And it may be just the commitment of this particular squad, the nucleus of the squad is more into it, and they're more bought into what Nick's doing, and they're putting that exertion out there. Whether it's Chris Boucher running at a corner three and just getting a finger on it, whatever it is, just irritating them and not giving them the easiest, like clear shot is really smart. The Eagles, whatever, they keep track of all this and they're getting graded so they can see like, oh, I didn't cover this many threes. Well, I got to work on this next time. And Nick said the defensive effort last night was awesome. He said he was so pleased with how our team played defense last night. And yeah, it really showed by holding Cleveland to 88 points. Evelyn's saying at Randolph Phillips, thanks. By the way, I'm the granny, Evelyn of the Raptor Free Crew. That's why Randolph's confused, is I said Granny Evelyn. She's the grandma. She's Granny Evelyn. And baby Candace is the granddaughter. And I want to know how baby Candace has been doing, Evelyn. You got to let us know. I hope she's just smiling and giggling and happy. Just in her life, just having a good time. I know she's going to be such a good Raptors fan as she gets older too, because grandma is going to teach her to be a Raptors fan as she gets older. I'm sure she's already wearing Raptor swag as a little girl. So yeah, let me know how baby Candace is doing. And of course, Evelyn, get better yourself with the flu that you're battling right now. Monique's saying, did anyone catch on to the fact that Thad's kids are officially playing basketball in Canada now? You love to see it. Go Raptors. Keep building on those wins, boys. I feel good going forward. Got good momentum. Thad's kids, they always sit in the same spot with Thad's wife, Shanika, and they're right near the entryway. And they kind of sit behind the bench like 3 rows. And it's really cute what his wife does. She's always filming him in the huddle. And he'll be like in the huddle talking with the team in the middle of the game. And then he'll look over at her and he'll like wink at her while she's filming him. And that's always a part of her like Instagram post or something like that. And then at the end of the game, when Thad's leaving the court, his sons come over to there and they hug their dad after the game and they high five and stuff. And it's just really cool and wholesome. That's awesome. Of course, they're playing ball up here. If they're living here in Canada, it'll be very much like the Curry brothers when they were here with Dell playing for the Raptors. They'll maybe be playing middle school ball here in Canada. And that really did good things for Steph and Seth. So I'm sure Thaddeus may be looking at Del Curry's history with his boys and being here in Canada. And he's like, you know what? This could be really good for my kids as far as their basketball careers. Because look, Steph Curry came from this kind of a situation. So, yeah, it's great to hear that the young boys are playing Canadian basketball here in Toronto on teams. And they're very good. I've watched them on Instagram. They really are being trained, much like a Gary Trent Jr. was trained by a Gary Trent Sr. They are getting trained that same kind of treatment. So it's really awesome. And I love hearing that. And yes, Monique, I have a feeling we're about to streak. Like you want to go streaking. I think we're getting on there, and it's going to be a real tough task with the Pelicans, but I think we're ready to rise to the challenge. I have the Tiger style and just meet them and come and get them. Yeah. Leslie saying NBA needs to watch out for the Raptors. Pascal is going to kill it. We play as a team, and Nick knows what we need for every game. Yeah, that's a really good synopsis of two of the huge reasons why we are very successful. Pascal's superstar, amazing level that he's playing at, a top 5 level talent in the NBA. I really do believe that. And then Nick Nurse, the mad genius, that he's just scheming and thwarting. He's like a villain. He wants to take all the good things away from the other teams. He wants to be a rain on their parade. Every kind of way that he can make it hard for them, he will figure it out. And he will use this team, the guys like OG and Pascal and Cam Birch, Koloko. He's got such a weaponry this year compared to past years when you have somebody like Koloko all around all of a sudden. When you have a plus steel guy like Gary Trent and OG Anunoby, these are really good weapons for a defensive mad genius to employ to have schemes to stop other NBA teams. The Koloko is a weapon that will be utilized in certain ways as we go forward in his career more and more. That his name is going to be called and put in the game for situational stuff because he just adds a certain thing himself that we don't have otherwise on the team. And I'm very interested to see how his role changes and morphs over the years because Koloko is going to be a very important weapon for Nick Nurse as a defensive coach. All right, let's keep going. Paul B's here. Good to see Paul B. Spicy P looks so damn good. I like the look of this starting lineup. Scottie and Gary off the bench look totally normal too. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just the reporters have a problem with it. I don't think the players do. Like I said, we've talked about this ad nauseum already today. They get their minutes, they get their production. They are in at the end of the game still. Who cares who starts? Who cares who starts? Cool Cat saying, I don't think our starting 5 will be the same. It will be matchup specific. Yeah, I think you're right. The core stars would always be Pascal, OG, and Fred. That a glue guy for other bench players. It could be that those 3 are for sure. And then the rest of them, we're mixing and matching the other 2 spots depending on the matchup. And then it very much could be a collective switching in and out. Scottie, got Gary, Thaddeus, Juancho, Christian, Precious. Precious gets healthy and he comes back and he starts playing really well. He could be in the mix to possibly be in the starting lineup from time to time too. So even Otto Porter Jr. could be one of these guys that gets stuck in the starting lineup all of a sudden for some certain reason. So I like the look with Juancho and Thad because it's a very vet kind of starting look. Very veteran starting team. You look at the experience of all the guys who started last night. They've all been in the league at least 5 years. You got Juancho and OG, who are the 2 youngest guys on that starting lineup. And then you got Fred, Pascal, and then Thad. These are all vets. There's nobody like under 5 years experience in that starting lineup last night. In some ways, there's a strength to that. There really is. It's a consistent strength. And just like Fred described every game we play as chaos. Well, you want a little bit of semblance of order and like things being consistent, play vet. And you'll get that more and more because the young guys will still make young mistakes from time to time, even if they're as good as Scottie Barnes. All right, let's keep going. Lolita's saying at Sue, that's my favorite from all schemes last night. Amazing teamwork. Go Raptors 2023 NBA champions. Toronto Raptors NBA champions 2023. NBA champions 2023 Toronto Raptors. Say it over and over again. As Earl Watson said, believe to achieve. And that's what we're doing here on this channel. We're believing to achieve, and we will help. Hirsch C, good to see another new name. Every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join me again. I wonder how scouting reports work for teams playing the Raptors. Feel like there are so many threats and tendencies they need to remember. That's one thing. Like we were talking about this the other day. When you scheme for somebody like Brooklyn, you obviously think about Kevin and Kyrie. That's really the focal point. And in some ways that's easier because you know where it's coming from. With us, sure, you're going to think about Pascal first, but who would step up and be that secondary scorer on any given night for us? It could be OG, it could be Fred, it could be Gary, it could be Scottie, it could be a whole host of different guys. And you really do have to scheme for so many different people on our team with different talents that it gets like your head just gets overloaded so much to think about. It's like you can't possibly cover every single one of them effectively in the way that you want to. There's just too many of them. Some teams, these superstar teams that have 2 or 3 superstars, well, you can kind of deal with them easier because the role players on the rest of the bench are not necessarily as much a threat as our role players going all the way down to like 10 guys. You could get past the core 7 guys, and then boom, you have to start thinking about Juancho maybe hitting threes. You got to worry about Christian for this reason. You got to worry about Delano Banton with his speed and aggressiveness coming up the court really fast. There's a lot of things that other teams have to think about when they scout us. And you're exactly right, Hirsch, that we're a nightmare to scheme against and try and figure out how to stop, because it's like they figure out, okay, they're having some luck containing Gary tonight. Well, we'll just use Fred more, or we'll get OG or this, or, we have options. Whereas, a team like Brooklyn, they're limited in how much options they can get past Kevin and Kyrie to a degree. So I think that's a real strength, and you're exactly right. It's a nightmare for other coaches, no matter what the matchup against the Raptors. Nameless saying, does anyone recall when I compared OG to Kawhi and said that there's a realistic comparison, or when I said the most important thing for the Raptors to do with Siakam is to stay above 500 or at 500? Well, here's your kudos, Nameless. Yeah, I do recall this. I think a few of us have been saying this recently, that OG is looking very Kawhi. Jack Armstrong said in the broadcast last night that the OG strength and his purpose of how he moves towards the basket and he's unstoppable is very Kawhi-like. And that comparison isn't unfair to either one of them. In fact, I think Kawhi would see what he's doing at this point. He'd say, wow, he's doing some of the stuff I like to do. That is exactly, you could have called this, because he's that kind of player that's kind of a two-way player where he's very good on the defensive end, but he's also got certain offensive skills. And his three being really solid, and the way he bowls to the basket is very Kawhi. It's unstoppable. So that's a really good comparison. I've been seeing that comparison too, and I've been saying it too. And Jack Armstrong echoed it last night also. So we are being astute, and we are on the same page. And yeah, it was really important that we stayed at least 500 while Pascal was out. And that's exactly what we did, 5-5. And that's perfect, because we're really still got the playing field even. So we can still launch off and get like way above 500 in the months to come. So yeah, this is really good. We didn't get sewered down near 300 or something like that. Now we can shoot up from the level playing field, which is really good. Tom's saying, Nameless, people should know your name. We want to know your name so we can give you the credit for you making these correct predictions, is what we're saying. He's like that Larry David episode with the anonymous who gave the wing to the museum. He's like, well, if you tell everybody who it is, it's like, anyway. Van Hoot saying, I told you a healthy squad would make a world of difference. Yes, of course. Of course, health makes a big difference and helps a team. And yes, thank you, Van Hoot, for being here as usual. Cool Cat saying, Pascal mentioned that his legs were heavy, so he's getting game shape. Juancho got steals and blocks, helped defense, helped OG stay fixed on Donovan. Constant movement without the ball also confused the Cavs. Yeah, there was a lot of good things happening out there, a lot of different things going on all at once. And of course, some of these guys are not totally in game shape, and this is part of the reason why they were limited in minutes and maybe didn't start. Some of them is that they have to get back into conditioning. So this is very smart. And I think Juancho, all right, let's look at Juancho just real up close here. 2 of 3 from the field. He only took 2 shots, but that's really good. 6 rebounds, really fantastic. Solid. He only played 20 minutes, but he looked really good. And like I said, I like the cuts. I like all this stuff. And I really do think he's going to emerge more and more as a huge 3-point threat for us as the season goes on. That he is really a good 3-point shooter. He really, really is. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Leonardo's here. Leonardo Paynes, good to see you. Another new name. Please join us every day. We do this every day. Defensive Player of the Year, OG on the go. Yes, I love this. Get that hit list. More names. Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell. Who are you going to add tomorrow, OG? Is it going to be like, can you take Zion out of the game tomorrow night? Wouldn't that be something if OG could take a totally different kind of player? This is the thing. If you can do it to different flavors of players around the league, you got Donovan Mitchell, a little speedy guard. You got Luka, a mastermind magic Luka. And then you got somebody like a brute force of Zion Williamson, then he can stop him. That's what I want to see. OG, show that versatility on the defensive end that you can stop all kinds of different offensive players. And I want to see them shut off the water on Zion Williamson tonight. That'd be awesome. Tom Duke saying Toronto Raptors 2023 NBA champions. Toronto Raptors NBA champions 2023. Say it.
Sounds good.
Say it.
Toronto Raptors 2023 champions, NBA champions. So.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Adrianna. You speak it into existence. I love it. Paul B saying 6 seed now and start the playoffs. No, we want to get higher, Paul. Not yet. Van Hoot saying, oh my God, reporters are lazy or just not great at their job. Conspiracy theories aren't something I subscribe to. Ocam's razor. I don't want psychoanalyzed players. Good win. I got a jet. We are third or fourth. Yeah. All right. All good, Van Hoot. Thank you for stopping in. Yeah, the reporters are trying to stir shit up that's just not there. And we are going to be third or fourth. I like that. Third or fourth is fine with me. Just as long as we have home court advantage in the first round. That's what I want. Duke Rocks is saying Raps content creator LA Chris was in Toronto checking out our digs. He even got to meet Alvin Williams at Real Sports after the game. Lots of praise for our city and lifestyle. Yeah, that was awesome that Chris's Sports Corner went to Real Sports and sat in near the Raptors Tonight crew. He was told to do that by fans like us, and he's glad that they did because he got to meet Alvin. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad they had such a good time here. I know they went back yesterday. But yeah, welcome Toronto. And I'm glad that Chris's Sports Corner and wife had a great time this weekend at the Dallas game. And what the vibes are strong here. You found that. Yeah, people come to Toronto and they're just like amazed. It's kind of like going to Oz and the Wizard of Oz. It's just that city. It's like the Emerald City is just beautiful. And there's so much to it that you're just like, wow, I could be here a long time and really enjoy myself. That's why people want to come back. They come here once, they want to come back. Let's see. Lolita's saying, I think the media forgets that our core are champions. From Fred, Siakam, OG, Nurse, they know how it is done. And most important thing is winning, not personal stats. So let's get that rings. Yeah. This is for sure. It's all team concept. You have to be team first to be on the Raptors. And if you're not a team first kind of player, you don't play here for very long. You get shown the door and you go somewhere else. You don't even show up. They don't even bring you in if they have that feeling about you. All right, listen, let's talk about this real quick. The new How Hungry Are You came out yesterday. Serge Ibaka with Fred VanVleet. And I watched it late last night. It is fantastic. It's so heartwarming and so fun. The fun between Serge and Fred is funny because you can tell Serge kind of pisses Fred off a little bit. And they talked about how Serge was always late. Then people talked about that before on the show. Like DeMar talked about it on his when he was on once. It's like, you're always pissing me off with your exfoliating and taking so long to get on the bus and holding us all up. And Fred talked about it himself. Well, he asked Fred some tough questions, and like he does on that show when he makes him drink the cricket tea. And he asked him straight up, would you trade Scottie for Kevin Durant? And Fred said, no, I don't want Kevin. I want Scottie on this team. He said it straight up in that thing. Highly recommend watching the new How Hungry Are You with Fred VanVleet and Serge. There's so much good stuff in it. And Fred also said if Kawhi had decided to stay, we would have three-peated. He said that. He said we wouldn't have just won the next year. We would have won 3 championships in a row if Kawhi had committed to staying in Toronto after winning the first one. That's what Fred truly believes, that we would have been good enough to do that. And they talked about the bubble series with the Celtics a bit and how disappointed they were to lose that series. And, it was really cool. Highly recommend How Hungry Are You? The latest episode dropped yesterday with Fred VanVleet. Very, very good episode. Fred's just awesome. Fred's just being Fred. And you see Fred and you're like, that's our captain. We love him. Because he really is bona fide Toronto. That's what Serge called him, Freddie Toronto. It's like, it's Freddie. It's your show now, Fred, is what he said. Kalo left, and now it's your show. You're the man now. You're the man now. I left, and Mark left, and Kalo left, and now you're the man, is what Serge was saying. It's hilarious. All right, let's see. Laughing at Tom from Nameless. Yeah, we got to find out your name so we can give you your praise, Nameless. Tom saying, my brother, any word about Otto's toe injury and his hamstring? I don't know. The timeline on Precious got updated, though. It's 2 to 3 weeks still before he gets analyzed for whether he's ready or not. So we're not going to see Precious anytime soon. This is going to be almost another month, I think. So
that makes me sad.
That makes you sad? Yeah, it makes me sad, too, because I want Precious to get back, and we love Precious playing. But I haven't heard anything specifically about Otto. I do know that there was an update on Precious that it's going to be 2 or 3 more weeks for him, at least. ALLSTARS here. Good to see ALLSTAR. Pascal is definitely a superstar. He puts us over the top. Yeah, he's got a real argument starting to form for being a top 5 player in this league. He really is. Monique saying Big 45 may not have played much out there, but how good was it to see it? Lex, you are just like me. Some nights would come home and rewatch the TV highlights. Well, I do it partly for this channel so that I can see what they were saying in the broadcast. And I watch all the highlights and all the interviews no matter what. Now, I am going to have to go watch that JB Bickerstaff one because sometimes I don't listen to the visitor ones, but I probably should. And yeah, it was really nice to see Delano out there. And I love that Herbie does like the call out when they return from injury. He really makes it really a strong call. Like, and back, number 45 bus, Delano Banton. And everybody gets an opportunity to cheer and welcome them back. I appreciate that from Herbie Kuhn. So very, very cool. Very, very cool. Cool Cat saying Scottie was his normal energetic self. He was hugging and high-fiving Pascal, OG. Gary was smiling, high-fiving on the court. Just media looking for a story. The culture is a team W. Exactly. Make a mountain out of a molehill that isn't even there. These guys are happy. What happened? They won. That's all that matters. Lolita saying, I remember that the previous bench mob scored more and won us some games. Exactly. There's some prestige in that bench mob. And it was just so nice to have two units that were very strong. That's what maybe we should try and develop at this point. And that there's no failure or discount on being off the bench in this situation when you're a very high level team. And this may really help us in a postseason run, that we may want to get this kind of like synergy off of our starting team and our bench team in this way, that it could be very helpful in the postseason. So I think that this is something we need to explore more. Things that we found out last night were very illuminating. And I trust in Nick Nurse that he's going to do the right things to continue to explore it and get the best out of our lineup every single night. Alistair saying Gary hates coming off the bench, but people have said he and Scottie should. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Gary doesn't like it. You know, in some ways it is an ego thing, but it shouldn't be. I really wish that the guys would retrain their heads on how they think about this. You know, maybe go talk to OG about his path and how he started sometimes and he didn't start and how that actually really helped him. You know, you can talk to somebody like Pascal. It's a similar thing. Fred, his whole thing about when he started and he didn't start in his career and his path. They are their best resources on this kind of stuff. And they don't want to get too tied up in their own heads and think, oh, this is just like how I am. If I'm not starting, I'm not as good or something. That's not the case. This is just really what's best for the team. So Fiercey saying, I also liked the new starting lineup. Great synergy. See, Fiercey is all about it. That the Thad Young being the starting lineup is really steady from the start. Cool Cat saying Pascal and Fred worked on incorporating OG more in offense. They could have had way more points. Focused on developing OG as number 2. That's the long game for the chip, Pascal and OG. I like that, Cool Cat. I like that scenario you're painting. And yeah, they made sure that OG still got fed last night, even though Pascal was back. Monique is saying, yes, Alex McKechnie is Scottish Canadian. Yeah, I think he has a little bit of an accent. I've heard him speak before. Duke saying, agree, Cool Cat. We need OG to become our number 2 option. How they played last night only confirms the direction that Raps have to take. Yeah, I can see that. Alistair saying OG's conditioning is improved. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Dr. McKechnie is a Canadian. Not sure of his heritage, though. Pascal, OG, Scottie with Fred VanVleet will be huge in Celtics game. I hope Gary Trent Jr. is back in full force then, too. Yeah, me too. It looked better last night. I mean, Gary hitting a 3 is really nice to see. OG's Defensive Player of the Year is in full effect, and no one can say nothing. Hopefully, you can get more and more evidence that prove that he needs to get it. That's what Earl Watson says. Show them the proof and force them to give it to you. Make the stats and the output on the court, show the body of work, and then boom, hopefully they'll recognize you and reward you with the accolade. Mike saying, been listening. I went hard yesterday at the crazy Fred VanVleet hate, and I'm looking relaxed today. Nice. All right. I appreciate that, Mike. And I hope you're just having a nice day and having a good day. Let's see. Duke saying, I love the fact Siakam stated he could be a top 5 player, and OG stated he's the best defender in the league. Both set their goals and doing a great job of showing their potential. Yeah, That's an important thing. Believe to achieve. Put it out there. 2023 NBA champions Toronto Raptors. This is what we're doing here with that. And they're not going to say that on the down low or out as a team, but they will as individuals for individual accolades that they want. And that's the way they set the goals. And when they put it out there, it's part of the conversation. The rest of the league talks about it. Well, Pascal's saying he's a top 3 player in the league. Well, we may need to assess that and see if there's accuracy in that statement. Same thing with OG. It's like maybe nobody even thought about OG as a defensive player of the year. And now all of a sudden the eyes are getting open to him and they're taking notice because he actually said something about it for once. Instead of just like going about his business and doing what he does and nobody's paying attention, well, he told them. And now they are actually looking, which is really smart and really good. Let's see. Cool guy saying we beat Cavs when healthy and injured, and we also beat Donovan in Utah many times too. We know how to shut down Donovan, just like a best player on other teams. Yep, Nick Nurse said we have 10 starters. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Is like we've really matched up well against Mitchell in the history of playing against him, and that's why I was saying him going to Cleveland doesn't scare me. Like when they made that big move this summer, and a lot of Raptors fans and the pundits on Twitter were saying, "Oh, Cleveland's going to be so good. They're going to be all this." Well, I ain't fucking worried about them for us because we got their kryptonite. And like Cleveland never worried me. They may worry the league in general, but they don't worry us, our team. We're a good matchup for them. And we've always had that kryptonite for Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. Mike saying Alex is Scottish or British born. He does have a strong accent. Like if you hear him talking, he does have a Scottish accent. Alistair saying, and we're missing Precious and Otto. Yep. And when we get them back, more reinforcements on top of it, and it'll be even harder to figure out who's going to go where. It's going to be even harder. Let's see. I jumped a sec. I'll make sure. Hopefully I'm getting near the end. Yeah, I am. McKechnie is Scottish in origin, but not completely sure though. Yeah, he is for sure. Hot Take Jay is saying OG for defensive player of the year. He got even better defensively, which is crazy to say. Yeah, he's just like he's learned from experience and he has gotten better. It is true. But he's always been kind of a shutdown defender. You think about all the time we talked about him against LeBron early in his career and how he had to match up against LeBron in the playoffs as like a rookie. He was playing LeBron in the playoffs and having some success against LeBron already at that point. Well, he's only gotten better with experience. Obviously, you trial and error, you figure out what works and what doesn't, and over the years you get better. And that's why vets get better than younger players, is because they just have more experience. And that is a direct reason why OG is a better defensive player today than he was in the first year he played when he had to play against LeBron in the playoffs and guard him. Shane Waters saying, did anyone else price Pascal giving the ball to OG once the ball was up the floor? I'm hoping that is to keep giving OG confidence as number 2 option, that that and his legs were tired. Well, yeah, Pascal's probably not supposed to carry the whole load right now, and that he does probably need to be a guy who, he needs the other guys to help and step up for him. And OG has done so good in his absence that we need to continue that going. If we just let that go and it goes away and we forget about OG, that would be really dumb as the team. So we do need to keep him rolling since he's been going so well. He should definitely be the number 2 option, Alistair. Forgetful saying should start the game with the intro to Beethoven's Fifth. Completely disorient the team. That's hilarious. Like just for the in-game ops. Yeah, just make it weird. We have such scheduled like in-game ops. It's like, when they're going to play the Welcome to the Jungle and they're going to do the slow clap, when they're going to do like the fourth quarter, like air horn, maybe we switch it up because maybe teams get used to it, but maybe it'll mess with our team instead more because maybe they're more used to it than the other team. Cool Cat saying the younger reporters grew up as fans, understand the players and schemes and the growth and development skills, know the philosophy of Masai, Bobby, and Nick for the team. Exactly. That is the difference I'm really getting from the different media people, is that they did grow up as fans. Like Grange and them, they were already adults when the Raptors came into existence. And in some ways, it was just a fun experiment of playing basketball in Canada with the NBA at the beginning. And they didn't take it as seriously. Nobody took the team seriously because of the expansion team. We lost a lot. And a lot of their like way that they call the game and with them or write about the team is from that time. Like Doug Smith's been there for the whole time. Paul Jones. These guys have been around the whole time. And they've seen the bad parts of the Raptors. And Leo Routins, they'd be critical about the Raptors back in the day. Well, it's a new age. The fans don't necessarily want you guys to be negative ninnies about the team. And you need to, if you're really like writing content and making things for your audience, maybe you need to understand your audience a little bit better, some of y'all old heads. And maybe we're not into you being sewering and controversy and trying to bring our team down. And maybe this is how we can get them to change, is by rebuking them, not supporting them. You don't support Toronto Star when Doug Smith writes a hit piece. You don't support Sportsnet and Michael Grange when he does something fucked up. You don't support Josh Lewenberg when he's trying to pull things apart by asking questions about starters. So that's what I'm saying. We have the power in some ways because we're the fans. We're the people that buy and do the things, that stuff like that. And we reject what they're trying to do, and we put more into people like Oren Weisfeld, Samson Folk. Then that's how the people can speak and get what they want. So that's what we need to do. We need to reject some of the old heads and how they're still covering the team like they're the expansion Raptors, and really celebrate the young crop coming up and push them and talk about how they're the guys we like and we trust and we want to get content from. So, all right, let's see. Logical saying team 7 fouls and a half is a bonus. 1 shot, 10 fouls is 2 shots was a double bonus. 7 is a single bonus to the NCAA. Last night the Raptors got in the bonus right away in the second half. Like 4 minutes in the in the third period, we were already shooting free throws because they had fouled so much. Dean Wade in particular got some really dumb fouls at the beginning of the third quarter, and it really set us up to get to the foul line a lot. But the one thing is that the refs were not calling a lot of fouls last night in general. They let us play, and that the foul shots didn't really become like a factor between the two teams. It was very even. But that was interesting. At that point, I was saying we're already in the bonus, and we could actually be shooting a lot of free throws for the rest of the game. But it didn't actually work out that way by the end. We could have shot way more, but it was fun to see us in the bonus so early in the third quarter. Dwayne Greenridge is saying OG needs to start a pest control company, stomping out Spider Mitchell. I love that, Dwayne. I love that. He needs a pest control company. He's not just a plumber. He can branch out into other companies. I love that. All-Star saying, Alistair, I said all-star. It's because of what you're saying. Alistair is saying OG is an all-star this season. I think that's right. And I think that if we can get more of our guys get that all-star caliber like level, they talked about this last night on the How Hungry Are You episode I watched, that Serge said he was really proud of Fred becoming an all-star last season, but he told him the truth. He said, I never saw you ever becoming an all-star. And Fred said, yeah, in some ways I can understand why you would think that. And, it may be hard for Fred to get more all-stars down the road because of emerging Raptors around him like OG and Scottie that may come up and want to stand next to Pascal at All-Star. We know Pascal is going to be a year in, year out All-Star from now on. But Fred is kind of 50-50, and they're not going to want to give us like 3 All-Stars a year. So to really be kind of like Pascal with one of the other guys, and I think this season it should be OG. That OG, if he stays healthy and he continues this great two-way play, he should be an All-Star this year because he is playing like an All-Star. Alistair is exactly right. Shane saying, sorry about the butcher typing. Fat, cold fingers on a phone don't work well. Haha, I tried correcting it after. Slow mode sucks for that. It's all good, Shane. Yeah, and once again, you see how much y'all filled it up. Like, if I let y'all, like, comment as much as you want, we'd be here for, like, 6 hours. I'm already almost at 3. Crazy. Adrianna said it was going to be a long stream, right?
I told you.
She knows. She's like, oh, they won. It's gonna be a long stream. She always says that. That's why I put her in the room with me this time instead of her like hiding in the bedroom while I'm doing this. I said, well, why don't you be a part of it since you were at the game with me? You're a big part. You're good luck. When I go to the game with you, our win percentage is pretty good. I think the only game we lost that we went to, well, the preseason game didn't matter. The one that we were with Sue. And then the one last year with Kyle Lowry's return game, that may have been the only game that Adrianna and I go to together that we've lost. When we go to the game, we almost always win. Let's see. Hot Take Jay's saying, Dwayne, I like that. Yeah, I like that pest control idea too. Mike saying 7 could be in a reference to and ones and getting them and hitting them. I'm not sure. I have to hear what he said in that interview, Mike. as far as like referencing 7. That's Scottie's interview you're talking about. Cool Cat saying Scottie loved Magic Johnson and Kobe. He's combining both into his own style. Yeah, I can see that. I could totally see that. He really does love Kobe Bryant a lot. He really does. And Scottie is really just a fan of the game, of the sport, and just in general. That's why he's such a fanboy about Pascal and what he's doing out on the court, is that he can see the greatness and he just loves that he's like next to it, that he's seeing this stuff in person. It's kind of like, in some ways, he probably feels like he's watching a Jordan kind of guy. Because in some ways, what Pascal's doing is very Jordan-like. He has that much control over games. It's crazy how much control he can have over games. And he says it's easy to agree. After a game, he says it's easy for me now. It's just something I can do. I can just do it. And I love hearing that. I don't want him to struggle doing this. I knew he struggled in the last few years with learning to do this and to get upright into this position as who he is now. But to hear him in the interview say, this is easy for me now. I'm just doing what I do. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to do this. I doesn't care. I don't care who we're playing. I don't care what night. I'm going to do this every night, is what he's saying after the game last night. I'm like, okay, he's just going to do what he does. He's doing what he does, is what he said. Amazing. Nameless saying OG went inside Cleveland's basement with his overalls on, lifted the ball shut off valve, and cut the water supply. Hilarious. Yes, he did. He went in there. He probably went in there quietly. He was probably very cordial. He's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, how's your day going? It's good. Oh yeah. Oh no, don't mind me. I'm just got to go downstairs. And then he like leaves and he's like, wait, all right, good to see you. Bye. Very cordial, like him and Luca. Randolph saying, my apologies, Mr. and Sid Evelyn, get well soon. No problem, Randolph. It's all good. This stream can be confusing at times, and it's all good. Don't worry about Randolph. We love you and we appreciate you, Randolph Phillips. And we hope, hey, the wins are so great. They keep the good feelings going. Let's keep it going tomorrow in New Orleans, baby. Yeah, let's go down there and have a little bit of a jazz festival on Bourbon Street. Yeah, let's get a little crazy down in New Orleans tomorrow night. Evelyn's saying JB Bickerstaff, guys, not BJ Bickerstaff. Evelyn's correcting y'all, Mike. Yeah, it's JB. Yeah, it's funny. Not BJ Ryan. All right, let's see. Nameless saying OG showed up with his adjustable pliers, removed the drain hose clamp, and disassembled the P-trap under Cleveland's kitchen sink. This is hilarious because Nameless obviously knows about this job. And we talked about this, and this is good. He's applying real plumbing terms to this at this point. Hilarious. I love it. And the emojis are great. He's like this. It is a water. Mason saying, us Raptors are hungry. We want a chip and with the dip, munch with the crunch. Go Raps go. We have the Spicy P and Iron Scottie Barnes. We got OG Pipe Worker Master, and we got No Coloco and Steady Freddy. Yeah, we got a lot of great weapons, tools, different roles, different looks, guys that do a lot of the same things, but also guys that do a lot of different things and a lot of different weapons. We have the most complete team I think we've ever had in the history of the Raptors right now. The fact that Coloco was our draft pick this year put us over the top as far as with having a rim protector. And then, we have all these other stuff. Like, what is it that we lack with the personnel that we have on this team? I don't see it. What do we really need on this team? We can get it from somebody on this team at this point. So it's awesome. All right, I'm going to try and wrap it up in like the next 10 minutes. And I don't think I have too many more comments left. Monique is saying, guys, hopefully you can all just check out the Coach's Open House. I did the online version during the pandemic. These are the many reasons why I'm good at basketball. I just had somebody write things down. Awesome, Monique. Yeah, go next year. You can go to the Coach's Open House like I did this week. Highly recommend it. And listen, you may not be a coach, but it may inspire you to want to go out and become a coach. And that's what Nick said. He's like, if you're interested in anything we've been saying, you guys could just go coach. How did I become a good coach is what he said. I went out and coached. I coached every single team I could find to coach. Somebody asked me to be a coach. I just said, yeah, I'll do it. And I did it. And it didn't matter what the pay was or anything like that. I just did it. And that's how I started. And that's how I got good at it. So any of y'all, who knows, we may have a really awesome coach in this chat that's just waiting. You just open up that avenue in your world and boom, all of a sudden you're coaching basketball at some level and it progresses and boom, who knows? Who knows? And that's what I'm saying. You may not be a coach before you go to the Coach's Open House, but you may be when you leave. Cool Cat saying, it's good to hear the young family kids are playing basketball on teams here in Toronto. Love seeing the entire family immersed in the city and culture. Yeah, that family's so fun to watch and just see them, like the love between them, the bonds, and like the father, the husband that Thad Young is, it's just amazing. He's such a good role model, not only in the court and basketball ways, but just in life. He's just a good role model in life. This is how you should be as a father and as a husband. Thad Young. This is how you should be as a teammate, as a passer, as a facilitator, as a mentor on a team. It's a very, very good. He's just the epitome of a role model. Epitome of it. Yeah. Duke saying, logical. I was thinking the reference to lucky number 7, but the way I took it was like slang for greatness in basketball culture. I heard it twice this week. Just wondering. Yeah, I don't know what that reference is. I'll have to do some research and find out about it. All right. Nameless saying, plus, we're so unorthodox. How do you prepare for something you have no experience with? Raptors are a nightmare to prepare for because we'll just switch it up on y'all anyways. Yeah, they could figure out a game plan and we may figure it out and like kill it already, like within the first quarter of the game. Like that is how quick on his toes Nick Nurse is. And this is the reason why Dwayne Casey got fired and Nick Nurse took his job. His Masai saw this tactical like genius. They can really react and do things quickly with the team, like very quickly. And this is a huge part of it, Nameless. You're right. We're unorthodox. Fred says it's chaos. The games are always chaos. It's so crazy. But in some ways, this is what we thrive on, is the chaos of deflections and the ball going every which way and it just being like not totally pretty. This is where we need to be. This is our habitat as a Raptors team. The chaos. The chaos, yes. Guardian Transit likes Trent off the bench. See, we're getting a lot of general sentiment about the starting lineup last night. It worked really well in a lot of ways from the people here. Mason saying, so far with all the setbacks, I'm happy where we're at right now. I can see if we're healthy, the sky's the limit. We are Canada's best. Toronto Raptors are for real. The rest of the league will soon see, for sure. For sure. We're going to keep climbing. We're on our way up. With everybody back, we're on our way up. Look out. Nameless saying, incredible, insightful input from Fred VanVleet. Wow. He's just really interesting. Like that interview after the game last night, you should watch that. And then you should also watch the How Hungry Are You? And you'll have a brand new perspective about Fred VanVleet and why we love him so much and why he should be a Raptor for life. He really should be. Eric Jacob, it's good to see you. I see that you've retracted your message, but I just appreciate your presence being here as being one of the originals from the beginning of this channel last year. Good to see you, Eric. And I hope things are good over in Africa, man. I don't know if you're still over there, but all the best to you, Eric. Mason saying, great stream today. Lex, as always, let's get this win tomorrow night. Keep the good vibes going. Go Raps, go. We got some of our guys back, and we're not even fully healthy, but we got back 2 guys we need. Yeah. Tomorrow, let's keep the vibes going. I'll have the preview tomorrow, the referee check, the injury list, keys to the victory, and then, of course, the real mascot matchup. Always fun to hear about that. Monique saying, W streams, only especially when we win. Keep at it, Lex. Nick Nurse yet again did a great job coaching. Obviously, we knew it was a W all along. Keep positive, keep building. Yes, Monique, and you too. So happy to see you last night, and yes, we got to keep going. No looking back. We're just going to keep progressing and getting better and better as a franchise and as a team. Mike's chiming in. Project Truth has the power to change the way the Raptors are covered. That's right. We are the consumers. We're the ones they're writing for. So we need to let them know we reject them writing in this kind of styles. That may be like the New York media kind of way to destroy your teams, like the Knicks and the Rangers and the Yankees. But we ain't having that here. You can go do that with Maple Leafs. You want to be that kind of writer, you better write about hockey because you ain't going to be writing about the basketball here in Toronto that way. And we are the people they write for. So we can tell them how we feel about what they're doing. And maybe they'll get with it and understand it. The power to the people. That's what I'm saying. Guardian Transit saying, seems to me refs have cracked down on traveling calls. They definitely have. There's a lot more travel calls this season than last season. And some of it is that they see certain skip moves and holding the ball, palming the ball to skip and get a couple of extra steps. They're not letting them do that anymore. Delano in particular had that move down where he'd hold the ball up in his hand and he'd take there's no way you can step like 3 or 4 steps when you're carrying the ball still up in your hand. It's like you're palming it. And they're calling that now. You can't get away with doing that anymore because in some ways it was like an overpowering move that was totally unfair. But yeah, they took that move away from people this year. David's here. Good to see David Saborin. Man, if it weren't for the 5-minute time delay, you would have been out of here 2 hours ago. Laugh out loud. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, David. I might be here all day. Oh my gosh. Nameless saying, I'm going to start yelling, disassemble the P trap at the TV. Everybody I'm with will be confused as fuck. You're going to start yelling plumbing terms. Nameless has worked in plumbing, obviously, or maybe currently working in the plumbing trade. And I love this whole motif. Like, if you want to continue with the terminology from this trade and put it into we talk about what OG's doing on the court, I love it. I love it so much. Just keep adding it. Like, disassemble the P trap. Really? That sounds like they're doing something to us, though. Because our P guys, like, well, maybe it's the trap on Pascal. We got to disassemble the trap that's on Pascal. Okay, I like it. Disassemble the P trap. Yeah, if you're yelling that in like a bar or something, or somewhere around town and watching the game, people may look at you like you're crazy. Like, what are you saying? Mike's saying it's about people focusing on truth sources and speaking against the crap. Like Scottie's upset at the bench roll when he stated how he feels about things on his Twitch. I bet Josh doesn't watch. Of course, these guys haven't watched Scottie's Twitch. So many people have not watched it. Not many people my age have watched it, because not many people my age are on Twitch. It's all the youngsters. And maybe that's why I stick out like a sore thumb in those conversations in there, is because I'm an old head in there that just happens to be hip enough to be there and present for the young, cool, hip people that are on Twitch with him. None of these old heads are going to know it. Michael Grange shows up on Twitch and starts trying to talk to Scottie through there. It'd be like really messed up and crazy. So yeah, they don't understand who he is to a certain point. And like he really is an emotional guy, and he may show emotions, but they may misread them completely. I take him at his word. He's not a liar. If he says that it's fine, it is fine. And it may be that he's just annoyed with y'all. Tom Duke saying, W stream, you really raptured this stream, Lex. Thank you, Tom. And I couldn't have done it without the contributions of all of you, and you, Adrianna. Say something. Don't just give a thumbs up. This is radio. Fine. This is radio.
I'm fine.
You're fine. I know you're fine.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me that.
Okay, I'll go back to your stream.
She's like, don't pay attention to me right now. Hilarious. Oh my gosh. The Guardian saying you are welcome out to the farm next August. Jack Dickizer will be playing the blues. Where's the farm, Guardian? I'd love to get a road trip and come out and see some good music and get out of the city for a little bit. I'm always all about that. Next August too. August is a great time of year for me. Especially here in Canada. Let me know. As time goes on, we'll have time. I know you're here. You can let me know more deets and things over time. Maybe we could have a whole Raptor Freak meetup at the festival that you're having next August or something. And maybe more of us can all get there and we can have a celebration. Who knows? Maybe that'll be our Raptor Freak meetup for next summer, like the one we did on my birthday this year. So who knows? We'll figure it out. We can develop things over time, just like the team. Nameless is saying the chaos theory, the ability for Toronto to thrive in an otherwise uninhabitable environment. I love that. It really is true. We cause chaos and we thrive in it. We are agents of chaos. We want the chaos. The other teams don't like it. They may be like, what the fuck are they doing? This is crazy. Well, we want it, and we will figure out how to deal with it. Mason Culligan saying, I believe in our core is the key to our future. I don't want to give away a young rising player for an old star. To me, I'm not with that. My opinion, stay with our core. Say no to anything. That's to stop our flow. Exactly. You're referencing Fred telling Serge he wouldn't trade Scottie for Kevin Durant. And that's what Fred said. He's like, you shouldn't ask me this question because I'm not a trade guy. It's like, I'm like Fred. I'm not a trade guy either. Bobby Webster, even though he's a GM, is he a trade guy? Really? Is Bobby Webster really a trade guy? He is technically because it's his job, but the Raptors franchise isn't really a trade franchise. And Fred is not a trade guy. I'm not a trade guy. And Mason Culligan is not a trade guy either. That means you keep with who you're developing already and you don't bail out on them too early. You really stick them around so that you really get all the rewards from sticking with them through the development curve and getting all the best stuff like we're getting from Pascal and OG right now. If we had gone the way all these stupid idiots have been saying the last couple of years, trade OG, trade Pascal, trade Fred, we would not be reaping all the rewards from their incredible journeys as NBA players at this point. We would not have OG on our team like this if we had traded him frivolously in the last 2 years. We would not have Pascal at this point with what we have with him if we'd listened to these haters of Pascal over the past couple years. So this is a really good way to look at this perspective about developing and sticking with the plan and allowing it. Like with you have good character guys that you want to keep around forever. This is why. Oh yeah, Twitch Grange. Oh my God, that would be ridiculous, Mike. All right, one more comment and I'm gonna log off because Adrianna she's being very patient and kind with me in this 3-hour chat, but it's all good.
Don't blame me for getting.
I'm not blaming you. Well, in some ways, you're a good excuse for me to get out of here too.
No.
It's 3 hours. Let's be reasonable. It's not the playoffs like where I did like 5 or 6 hour streams after playoff games last year. Holy crap. Those were marathons. Oh my gosh. And my voice does start to go.
You
All right.
did scream a lot yesterday.
I did scream a lot too last night. It's amazing how much of a voice I have right now. Honestly, I may come in here and be all right, let's see. Nameless saying having to trade is usually a sign of covering up a mistake. Well, we don't trade very often because our front office doesn't really make any mistakes. That's exactly right. You go, Nameless. Honestly, you've been an MVP today with a lot of your comments today. All right, y'all. Thanks again. What a great win over the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. It's very important. We're 2-0 over an Eastern Conference rival, a team that really seriously, their fan base is rabid to beat our team. And we did not give them any of that kind of satisfaction last night. In fact, we may have made them feel even worse about how they're going to be playing against us for the rest of the year. Now, when we play Cleveland later on this season, we're going to play them in Cleveland the next 2 games. I love to sweep them this year. That may be a lofty goal, but at least if we can get one of the 2 Cleveland games in Cleveland, that will mean we won the season series against them. And that is a very important thing to do for playoff implications in certain ways, for sure. Peter, have a great day too. I love you chiming in right at the end. I love you guys, you Saborin brothers. You're the best. Go Raptors. All right, y'all. If you enjoyed my recap reaction stream today in any kind of way, please hit subscribe. And then you can join the live stream and comment with us and be a part of it also. I really, really appreciate everybody being here. Lots of people here today. Lots of fun. We really covered a lot. And obviously, we have the power as the people who are the consumers of the Raptors and the whole thing of the NBA and basketball here in Toronto to tell our reporters that, no, this is not cool and we ain't about this. And we will reject your content and who you are if you're going to continue this kind of New York style media picking apart of the team and trying to cause problems. We are very much like Masai Ujiri and Nick Nurse. We want everything to be good vibes, good structure, good foundation. And if y'all are going to try and be the cracks in that foundation, we will tell you we got cement and we're going to patch that hole when you're trying to start. So y'all leave young Scott alone with these questions. He's a young man. He's still figuring out his NBA career, and it's not fair of you to do this to him, put him in a bad spot with a question that's kind of out of left field that he isn't even thinking about himself. He thought about the W and the team effort and the win, and he was expecting questions from y'all in that line. Well, you kind of blindsided him with negative questions about him starting or not. And that is really the whole crux of his reaction and the way he acted, is that he was kind of like dismayed by you just even bringing that up. That he's really much party time, celebrate when we win. You could see it on Twitch. He's all about coming on there and celebrating with his fans on his Twitch stream after games. And that maybe, he didn't get on afterwards, maybe partly because of the controversy about him not starting last night that y'all are trying to start. So there's a word of warning. If any of you media types happen to hear me or any of this stuff today, hey, this is a real friendly kind of thing to tell you, just like Nick Nurse would tell Gary Trent, I need you to play defense or you're not going to be on this team. Well, this is maybe a little friendly warning to some of the media types that cover our team about how you're covering the team. We're not going to stand for it anymore. Yeah, that's how it is. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Mason. Leave my boy Scottie alone, media. That's right. Let's go Raptors. And I'll be back tomorrow for a preview of the New Orleans Pelicans game. We got to keep the streak going. Just like Monique said, we going streaking. Let's go streak. All right, guys, have a great Tuesday and love your loved ones and do the right thing and do your day like the Raptors would, with Raptors quality of like putting in a good effort and a strong effort on whatever you do in your life. I really do believe in that at this point. And, you know, you can make a difference in your own world by approaching things like the Raptors organization would. All right, have a great day, y'all, and let's go.